It's Friday, August 21st, 2026. Let's get started by reminding you, if you'd like to support our show, you can go.
I like that more. You can go.
You would almost chalk that up to like internet lag, except it was just me.
No, that was brain lag.
Oh man, it really was too. Nothing gets cut out, so you'll all hear it. Supportourshow.com is where you can go if you'd like us to support our show. Speaking of which, for some programming notes up front.
Yeah.
Grief. Reminder that the 7th of September, which is the first Monday of September, new late night with Jason Howell. We're going to be talking about the musical album he's working on, kind of walking through like how he puts together his stuff and talking about the way that music has changed, music production, listening to music, buying music, the whole music landscape. And in the course, and this is one of these weird time dilation things that happens, in the course of that episode, which of course for everybody is in the future now, but will be after I've said this. Oh, also, let's see, the Saturday after this show posts, I will be on Heartbeat Hero Radio playing Trivia Live. So if you'd like to see me try to defend my title and be a buffoon, you can go to twitch.tv/heartbeathero and watch that at 9 p.m. Paris time, which is, I think, noon Pacific, which is then 3 Eastern, and I can't do any more time zones. So there you go. So, in the late night, that'll be coming up. There's a point where I mention that Mr. Howell has started a podcast consultancy where he advises people or companies on how to get more out of their podcast. And he started this, I want to say 4 or 5 months ago. And I initially thought, maybe I should see what he thinks. And then I thought, that's a lot to saddle somebody with, especially just starting this thing out. And I'm going to give him this Sisyphean idea to try to make this show grow in any way, which I don't know if it can be grown. So I kind of gave up on it. And then in the course of talking to him, I thought, you know what, though? Consultants, the worst part about consultants, this is a general thing, is if you have to use a consultant for something, one of the things you always have to have in the back of your mind, unless you know the person, is, are they stretching this out to get as much money from me as possible, as opposed to actually giving me the right advice? It's just,
yes.
This is the case with anything, whether it's financial advice, anything, where you don't know the person. That situation changes if you have an idea of the person's integrity through a personal relationship. And I've known Jason for a while now. I've had him on the show a couple times. I've met him in person. He's not an unknown quantity. So I know that he has a degree of integrity. So I thought, okay, you know what? If there's anybody that I would actually listen to for an outside perspective on this, why not this individual who has taught media production at the Academy of Art in San Francisco, who has built podcast networks for companies like CNET, has been doing this for a long time. So I thought, all right, you know what? Why not? It's a free 30-minute call to start and just to run through everything. So I kind of ran through everything with him. And essentially what we boiled this down to, and some of this I knew, but I'm also waiting. By the time this posts, he will probably have given me kind of an outline of what he thinks he's working on. I said, there's no rush. There's no rush. It's not like, it's 20 years and this thing has been in the red the whole time almost, except for 2 years. So take your time, whatever. I don't want you to rush. Not a big deal. So in my mind, the primary issue is that the show loses money. And I'm transparent with everybody. I don't care because I have nothing to hide. When you're not hiding anything, you can be honest with everybody, and so that's what I'm going to be right now. So the show costs about $80 a month, $55 for the Libsyn hosting, and $21.30 something, $21.31 or something from Zoom. So you round up, you get to $80, tax or whatever, $80. And so I've been looking at it as, well, the show costs $80 a month. The Patreon for the show takes in $51 and change. And honestly, it really only takes in $7 a month because I support other creators. Because otherwise, I'm a giant hypocrite if I'm the one sitting here going, you have to support creators or they won't be able to live.
But that's not the fault of the people supporting the show.
It's not the fault of anybody.
What you do with the money is outside of their support.
Regardless, the situation is I'm not doing this anymore. It's just, I'm not going to be spending money on something like this anymore. So, this is not, by the way, just to be very upfront about it, I'm not trying to squeeze any money out of anybody who already supports. In fact, I'm not trying to squeeze money out of anybody. Don't feel bad. Don't feel guilty. Don't feel like you have to donate more. No, don't do that. What I want to do, ideally, is just grow it enough that it is self-supporting. And the other thing that I haven't been taking into account, and Jason, and to be fair, other people like Aunt Pruitt, also a friend of the show, has pointed out many times is, you're not valuing your time. And you know what? They were right. Because the reality is it costs way more than that because of the editing that I have to do on everything except this show. It does take time. It does take effort. My time is not worthless. I've been ignoring that for a while. I'm not doing that anymore either. So, here's what's going to happen. Nothing in the short term, really. I'm going to wait and I want to see what Jason Howell says. What his suggestions are. I'm sure he'll have a plan. And I will follow that to some degree. My internal goal, having not heard anything from him yet, is I would like to get to 100 patrons. That's it. And if we could get to 100 patrons, and each of those people, say, paid $1 or $2, there's two things that would happen. One, it would make the show make a little bit of money, because I also invest in things like I had to buy headphones when our stuff all shorted out, because apparently Apple screwed me. Whatever. Apple screws everybody. Companies do this all the time. So there is, I've commissioned the opening and closing music. Now, nobody made me do that, but I didn't want to get in trouble for copyright. It was a while ago, but still, it was like $300-400 for each of the themes. I paid that. It's fine. Again, I'm not hiding anything from anybody. And they're great themes, so they were absolutely worth it. Because another thing I don't do is people will say, oh, well, you're a friend, so I'm like, no, don't do that. Don't discount what your work is worth. You charge me what you charge anybody. Because I don't want to start being that person either. So I don't get breaks. Even Jason was like, well, okay, I'll give you a break. I'm like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. And that's advice to everybody. If you want to do somebody a favor, do it. But do not fall into the pattern of giving people a break unless you know you can sustain that. Because it can lead you into bad places. So I don't do that. So in the meantime, like I said, in the short term, nothing's going to change. But if whatever plan Jason comes up with doesn't actually grow the show, then the late nights are going to go behind a paywall. And if nobody cares, they'll disappear entirely. And I'm going to stop doing the fives. And then all will be left is the Friday show, and we won't use Zoom. And then, me paying $4 a month for it, that's okay. I can absorb that. $4 is nothing. But why am I paying Zoom? You know, it's kind of a thing where I've devalued myself for 2 decades now. And I'm not saying I'm the greatest editor in the world, but I think that I've tried to improve the show over time. I think I've put effort into it. And at some point, you do sit there and go, is this worth me doing it? And we're going to see. So that's the short end of it. Like I said, this is not meant, the people who are already listening, I'm not really even talking to you, but I don't want things to change. You suddenly wonder why. Because people who've hung around for the long term, obviously, a lot of people have donated over the years. Again, I'm not telling anybody who gives anything of any amount to suddenly increase it. If anything, I want you to give less, which sounds paradoxical to what I just said. But no, if we had more people at a lower amount, I would be happy to tell everybody, you know what? $2 is the top I want from you. That's enough. It's expensive to live almost everywhere. I don't want people giving us more money when they could probably barely afford it, or in some cases, it is a significant thing. I don't want that for anybody. So that's where it is. As I said, I don't know when any of this would actually change, but I'll tell everybody ahead of time. I've already got late nights in the pipeline through the rest of this year, so it won't be before this year is out. I'll just leave everything as is. And we'll see. And part of it is because the show is kind of hard to define. And that's one of the things that Jason identified right away. He's like, yeah, well, how do you introduce this show to somebody who doesn't know what it is? And honestly, I don't know how to do it. I really don't. What I hear most is that you and I are the reason people listen. Okay, well, then maybe these other shows are superfluous anyway and they need to go. Maybe the stuff with just me is pointless anyway. Maybe the late nights aren't that appealing to people. I have fun doing them, but if nobody cares, then what's the point? So that's the state of where we are. We've done 1,000 shows plus. I mean, technically, we're almost at 5,000 episodes if you count everything. I don't remember what the last number was. I looked at it. And everybody's head spins around when I tell them the number. And that's including all the late nights and the fives and everything, because those are, fives are 4 a week. Well, 4 times 52 for a year, math. I can't do math. So, calculator or whatever. So anyway, that's the state of where the show is and where it may end up. So that's all. I keep people in the loop. Like I said, I don't hide nothing. So that's where it is. Maybe I'm just getting old and crotchety. I don't know. Well, no, I shouldn't say getting. I am. So, anyway, that's all I had up front.
I'm sorry the show is not where you want it to be. I always just show up. I've never asked anything from this. I've never expected anything from it. And I feel bad because you and I have a very different user experience here. Because I just show up to chat with you. I don't actually give... I give a shit about... That's the wrong phrase. I don't give a shit about audience. I care about how you feel about it. And if you don't feel fulfilled by it, then I feel bad. And it's weird because, I actually think that your late nights and all your other stuff is probably far more marketable and far more processable. If anything, I think that this particular show, this part of your thing, it does make no sense. It's basically just random talk radio at this point, isn't it?
It is, but a lot of people will say that our back and forth is the thing they enjoy the most. So again, there's a paradox involved here, and I don't know if it is simply, and this is, I said this to Jason, I'm like, hey, if you can't come up with an answer, I'm not going to blame you, because it is very possible that we have ended up in a two things can be true at once scenario. That the show's central draw is unmarketable. That is absolutely possible.
I have considered myself to be very unmarketable for a very long time, so I do apologize.
Well, you shouldn't, though, because it also, this is what I mean about this, is the paradox. I also think that very thing is what makes it that we're not just carbon copies of every other thing. Because there are a million of these things that all follow the same pattern. They literally use the same mics with the same backdrops and the same setups and the same even time, the same length, relatively. And I'm not trying to copy.
Well, everybody's trying to emulate professionalism. Everybody's trying to make it so there's a slot and you fill that slot and people can count on you to be a certain length and then this episode of Yang-a-Dang Ding Dong,
right.
And that was never what this was. At least for me. I mean,
no, it's not for me either. If it was, we would be doing ad breaks and stuff like that for like YouTube. No, seriously, because you'll hear shows where they will have a very distinct pause at certain points. Not
Yeah.
even that they say we're going to pause for an ad break, but you'll hear a gap. And that is a way for YouTube to identify silence to insert an ad.
You know what?
And stuff like that.
I'm gonna put this in a different light, and this is maybe a light that you will understand, right? When you try to turn anything that you already do, right, into a marketable asset, we'll say, there is a level of dehumanizing it of it, like because you're processing it into something that is kind of beholden to somebody. Suddenly there's expectations. Suddenly things have to change. When you did your art for your cards, right, you were beholden to a company that wanted it a certain way. Now, they had come to you, they wanted the art, but you had to make it work for them, right? And you had a mostly positive experience. There's plenty of people who have awful experiences as well as good, right? I have found in my time that a lot of my writing is not easy to process, and when I have tried to be more conventional, it doesn't work. I also don't want to play the game that it wants to be played in this day and age. You know, luckily I don't have to. I have other things I can do, but I do love to write, but I want to be a recluse. You know, I have no interest in being on social media and being a little a social butterfly. And you know, there was a while back that one of the few late nights that we did together when we interviewed these two lovely women who did the horror encyclopedia, right?
Meg Hofdahl and Kelly.
Yeah,
I cannot remember the last name. I apologize.
And they were lovely people. This is not me slagging off on them at all. They were lovely people. But I found that when we were talking to them, I really wanted to get into the ideas of what was going on in this material. And they were there to sell a book. And they were very professional. And they were very focused on making sure that they stuck to their script and they sold the book. And I became very disinterested in the conversation. But I realized that to some degree, that's what you have to do. You are looking for free advertising. You're saying, read my book, read my book, read my book, please read my book, yada, 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 please read my book.
Oh, yeah.
And that, honestly, it's exhausting from the outside to see. And to some degree, that's kind of what it becomes, you know? So when it goes from being your hobby to being the thing that you want to try and make money off. You know what? I made the mistake of listening to people when it came to selling tie-dye. I've been tie-dyeing now for about 6 years. It was my COVID skill. I got pretty good at it, so I'm told. And for the longest time, it was a seasonal thing. I was very quiet about it. I just kind of like to do it. Mostly I made tie-dye for like kind of friends and family. But I would get a lot of compliments because, you know, I like to do a lot of weird shit and I like weird color. And I never like to kind of sit and I'm always kind of fucking around and doing stuff because, you know, like any type of crafty artistic expression, right? It's a constant evolution. But I made the mistake of listening to people and going, you know what, maybe I should try to sell this stuff, right? And I tried to build up my stock so I could sell stuff. And I have found the process of trying to kind of turn this hobby into any kind of financial gain to be kind of like, it destroys the hobby. Like, I'm in the hole. I'm not making my money back. I can't seem to get them to sell. I don't have enough stock yet to hit fairs. The fair season is coming to an end because it took me so long to try and build my stock, because making tie-dye is a seasonal thing. You need very warm temperatures, and I don't do it in my house because dye is fucking volatile, and if you drop a drop of it, that shit gets everywhere. I left red footprints in my house the other day. It was not great. So I do it outside, and if the temperature dips at all, like if the temperature dips into the 60s, I lose all my reds, I lose all my oranges. You know, like, there's a lot of chemistry and origami going on here. And I put stuff online. I put stuff in an Etsy store, and I kind of put it there. And I realized that unless I wanted to start looking for advertising, trying to get out and be like, "Oh, go to my store, go to my store, go to my store," nothing would move. And I was kind of sitting looking at it, going, "Yeah, you know what? This is so contradictory to the core of my personality." I was like, I don't sell myself. I don't want to interact. I was like, I'll just got to find something else to do, and I'll just keep giving my tight eyes away along the way. Like I like people in general, but I don't want to be around them. And at this show, it's very funny because the only reason I'm here is because of you. And I have kind of a wall between myself and the rest of it. And I feel bad because it puts the work on you. But I'm only here for you. You know what I mean? Everything that you do beyond me, you do because you want to do it. I've never required or asked you to do anything for the show, right?
No.
And I feel bad because you're not getting what you wanted. But for the longest time, it was just a hobby. And what I have learned personally, and I hope that it's better for you, is that trying to turn a hobby into something that can sustain itself, it's very fucking difficult. And can sometimes destroy the hobby in itself. So, I hope your friend has good advice for you.
Well, listen, the good part is, like you've said before, we'll still talk when we're playing video games. So if this thing ends, it ends.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I mean, I'll feel bad for the people who actually get something out of it, because I do know there are people who reliably listen and get entertainment out of it, and I will feel bad to some degree, but at the same time, and again, just to underscore this, I'm not talking about retiring off this thing or something like that. And I'm not going to suddenly become, oh, well, we have to format it to an hour. No. If this will not fit within what we already do, outside of like stripping out the other parts, then it's done. I'm not gonna change anything. I've made that very clear as well. I'm not gonna suddenly start talking about the latest news in anime, blah 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 blah.
No, you don't want to become a themed show.
No, we were a themed show. We had topic lists that went away for a reason.
Well,
yeah, remember?
It went away because we talked about all our topics, and then we just come up with other shit along the way.
we had a structured approach for a number of years,
and things wander off. I mean, that's the other problem: is you can't inevitably go at an idea without it then creating new ideas and graduating to other strange places. And if you don't go to those places, then you've missed the opportunity to figure out, to come to great epiphanies that you may not have come to otherwise.
Well, and again, as I said, the problem becomes if anything that I would try to change would just make this into another show, and what's the point then? Because they already exist. There's no point in doing a different version of the show. It either works the way it does or it doesn't. And the reason I'm kind of experimenting with this is I'm terrible at marketing. So it is possible.
Jesus, you and me both.
That somebody, well, yeah, but as you said, you've never had any interest in that. Like you've never had any interest in doing anything that way. So it doesn't matter whether you were good at it or not, because you're completely disinterested in that side of it, which is fine. I don't care. But I'm sitting there going, well, maybe it's not that there isn't a way to make this work. It may just be because I don't know how to do it. So instead of trying to re-architect the show, maybe it does take somebody from outside to say, okay, well, here's the only way this can really work. In terms of, what's the word for it? In, boxing it up into something understandable. And there may be. And I just don't know what that mechanism is.
I have no idea.
So we'll see.
I definitely have
I don't either. But that's why I'm like, you know what? I will hear the suggestions of somebody who I think knows what they're talking about and isn't just, out to make bucks off of a dummy who doesn't know what he's doing. And we'll see. And I imagine it's going to be some version of, well, let's try this for 3 months, 6 months, whatever, and see if anything moves. And if it does, hey, okay, without having to change anything about the actual shows themselves. And if it is just putting the look, I've always said that the Friday shows will be free, and I'm not going to change that. I'm not changing that. That's in cement. If that's going to change, then forget it. It's all over. Because I do think you have to have, and I don't want to do an ad version and then a longer. I don't want to do any of that nonsense. That's not happening. Like, I know where my lines are, and that those things are not going to change.
Unfortunately, that's how a lot of people do it.
And that's fine for them, but maybe part of the way to present the show is, look, we're not doing that.
It's difficult to come into this with a fuck everything attitude and then say, by the way, paywall.
Right, yeah, that right, and that's why I think and that's why I've always been really specific that the Friday show itself is the one that has to stay the way it is, in terms of full length, free. It's not changing. We're not going to bleep words. We're not going to do anything like that. None of that's happening. None of it. Or the show just ends.
Man, could you imagine that? This would be a much more bleepier show if we did that.
I mean, there is a comedic angle to that where you can actually make it worse by bleeping, but I'm not going to. Yeah, that would be more editing on my part.
I mean, the tirades would be fantastic.
Yeah, it'd just be solid. It'd just be a solid tone for like.
It'd be like Morse code.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that'd be great. But that's what I'm getting at is this is not going to suddenly change the nature of the show. Lando is not going to be replaced by, Thornton Jeffers III, who's going to give us his outlook on the reorientation of the Democratic Party in terms of the progressives versus the old guard and which one will be triumphant in a general election as opposed to the primaries. That ain't happening. I mean, I could do that if I wanted to, but I'm not. So, yeah, if there's a way to make what we have now work, and again, just grow it a bit. I'm not looking for 2 million listeners. I don't want that either. But it wouldn't be bad to have a slightly larger community of some kind that got the idea of it. And I'm sure some of these people exist.
I hope.
Because I know I gravitate towards the stuff that's different. So other people must too.
I hope you are able to find fulfillment.
We'll see. It's not even really fulfillment. It's just not. You know what? It's almost throwing good money after bad after a while. It's more of that. It's like, well, we don't need Zoom to do this. And if the late night stuff isn't connecting with anybody, I could just email people and say hello to them and talk to them that way. Seriously.
You know,
can do.
The problem is you're talking to me about this. You came to me many years ago and said, I want to do a podcast. And I was like, why? And I was like, okay, well, I'll show up. That's it. That's all I do.
But, see, this is where I sit there and I go, yeah, but there's this little asterisk next to that, which I largely agree with, the cynical kind of approach, which is, well, what's the point? Nobody cares. Is that people who have found their way to the show within the last year really enjoy it. And I know that for a fact because I've talked to somebody who is older. I'm going to keep this as non-specific as possible. Not an American, older than we are, and enjoys our banter. Now, if that can happen, then it is not beyond the realm of imagining that there might be a small pool of others in a planet of how many billion people. I don't think conjuring about 100 people, and that's just the number I've come up with, because I'm like, well, even if it's 100 people at $1 a month, that's $100. That covers the show plus a little extra. Okay, that's it. It's fine. And honestly, the extra would probably go so that I could support other people on Patreon, because I do think there is a value to that. But regardless, I don't think that's an unreasonable thing. At least it doesn't seem like it to me, but maybe I'm nuts. And that's where you bring in somebody who is completely separated from the show, who has experience, to look at it and see if there is any way that works. And if not, as I told him, hey, if the answer is no, then tell me the answer is no. It's fine. I will not get my feelings hurt. I really won't. I accomplished the milestone. We hit the 1,000 episodes. That was really more to see if I could even do it. We did it. So, we're still going to be watching movies and playing video games. So what the hell do I care?
That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Listen, I thought the audience was fictional all along.
not
listen,
fictional.
But that said, we should then, stop being very meta and
sure
enjoy ourselves.
Yeah.
Because if it's all going to end anyway, might as well have a good time in the process.
Yeah.
So, do you feel, are we concluded? Shall we move on?
Oh, sure. That was it. That was all I had for program. I think I covered everything. So,
well,
over to you, Walter.
I have a 3D printer come into my life recently. That's such a funny way to put it. And I want to discuss it because it's kind of a funny thing. And also because I was at, I'm not even going to name it. I was at a store recently picking up more material for it, which is always a good sign when you've already gone through the material you have. And exactly, yeah. I mean, that should really just be the sound that's in my head all the time.
Shouldn't it?
And an employee at the store actually stopped me and was like, "Hey, what do you do with this thing?" And I was like, "What?" And they were like, "I'm thinking of getting one, but like I don't know." And we had this big kind of Q&A. What's that?
What is the make and model of it? In case people.
Okay, so I have the Anycubic Cobra X, which is a very sort of
that's
entry
a great
level.
Name.
Yeah, it's a Cobra with a K.
I found it. As soon as I put Cobra with a C, it came up.
Yeah, it's a very entry level system, from my understanding. And you're supposed to be able to kind of pick it up very quickly. And it's mostly for my son. My son is more of the creative 3D printer, where he is actually, what do you call it? He found that he wanted to do things to his transformer. It sounds very menacing when you put it like that.
I was going to say, be careful.
Do things, but not to his transformers, not with them.
Yes, I was going to say he wanted to make modifications to his existing figures.
I mean, that sounds bad too. I want to make modifications to the neighbors.
No, it doesn't sound as bad as he wanted to do things to his figures. Based on our show history, that sounds worse.
So anyway, stop being so sleazy, Lando.
I was going to say, see, this is why these things think you're such a pervo.
Okay, yeah, because I am.
Phrase
That's
it.
why. Listen,
no, but
it's not.
Yes, but
it's
not
not.
this
It's
time.
not a logarithm. I like sex and nudity and all this funky stuff. I am sleazy.
Yes.
I'm
I
100% sleazy. And
I know.
And I
I'm
love
just saying you're not implying that your son is fucking his Transformers. Is what I'm trying to point out for the algorithm.
No. Although, let me tell you, fucking Fortress.
Oh God, here we go. You screwed that. Go ahead.
That one is big enough, though. I mean, there's one of those that's like up to mid waist. It's supposed to be more like
I've got to find it. That's what she said. Sound effect.
The Titans. Anyway, so getting back
Go on.
to the matter at hand. He wanted to make modifications to his Transformers. And so he's been using the kind of free softwares to make parts to kind of reinforce and alter Transformers, give them like... He has this obsession with making them less skinny. I guess there's a few of them that when they get into like robot form, he feels like they're too slim and he wants them to be more boxy. I think it's because he likes the more classic boxy design of the Transformers. And he's a kind of leans
era type stuff.
Yeah, and he leans away from the more modern kind of like I'm a sleek machine thing. Right. Anyway,
sure.
So it mostly came into our lives for him to do shit with, right? And the thing is, he was doing a lot of it in school because his school has a 3D printer, which is very nice. And I try to support creativity where I can in my family. So he was doing all this stuff, and then I was like, shit, you know what? I should do some shit because it's here. Why not? I'll look. And I actually found that there were a lot of weird things out there for me to print, little things that amused me, little things that actually were quite helpful. And one of the things I found recently, excuse me, Jesus. One of the things I found recently that really blew my mind was I really love the artist Gustav Vigeland. He has a park in Norway. I've been there twice. I fucking love it. And very little of his art has made it to the U.S. He's largely unknown in the U.S. And I've found a few random reproductions of his in like the last 20 years, but I've never really found any of his shit. And somebody had a really good scan of one of his sculptures from his sculpture park in Oslo, Norway. A really good scan. And a scan of one of his sculptures that I really loved, which is a man and woman with a child. And so I I was able to download it for free. It wasn't even like this was something that was like paid for, and I managed to print it out. And I mean, it took fucking 14 hours. Like I said, it's a it's not like a super fast printer. And now I have this little, it's not even little too. It's a fucking size of, it's probably like the size of like a large tissue box, I guess. But it's a reproduction of this sculpture, and I was tickled to death that I was able to find it, and that I was able to print it, and that it exists now. And I mean, there's so many other things like that out there. I mean, I found scans of the pulse pistol from Farscape, which I'd always debated getting a copy, and then now you see less and less of them out there. And somebody had a scan, and I was like, shit, I could just print one of these motherfuckers out. So it's kind of little things like that. Plus, I'm a tinkerer, so is my son, and I think that a 3D printer really, if you're the tinker type, a 3D printer is kind of like the natural next step. I don't think I ever would have made the step myself, but like, he really wanted one. So, and so now that it's here, my tinker brain is like, oh, we can do this, and we can do this, and we can do that. And it was funny that my son and I have been forced to create a alternate printing schedule. So he gets the days, and I get the nights. So basically, like, right before I go to bed, I'll set something to print, and in the morning it'll be printed, and then because he's doing smaller things where he like prints something small, has to like measure it, check it, and then kind of try again. He prints throughout the day, which is very funny. So like we have our printing schedules. But I'm having a lot of fun with it, and this is another one of those things where this is like Sukru. It's limited by your own creativity and attention to detail. And I understand why. I mean, Cory Doctorow thought like 3D printers were going to like change the world, and I understand why he thought that, because at its face value, yeah, it's an amazing idea to be like, hey, you can print out whatever the fuck you want, whatever you need, and you can design it and change it and blah blah blah. But I think what everybody always forgets is that people are kind of innately lazy, and they want things to be just there for them. And some people just don't have the imagination. Listen, anybody can build a cabinet, right? You can go to the store, you can buy the wood and the nails and tools, and anyone can do it. But there are craftsmen for a reason, because many of us, it just never occurs to us, or we don't feel like we have the skills. So this is another one of those things where you have to actually want to put the energy into it. My son is actually creating stuff, whereas I'm just finding interesting things. And there are a lot of things out there for free. I mean, I found a reproduction of Deckard's gun from Blade Runner. That my mother too. My mother was like, "You have a 3D printer, like the one that the people are printing guns with?" And I was like, "No, not one of those." It's like I didn't even. It was funny because she automatically went to like the worst usage. Yeah, and then I printed out, and then I printed out a reproduction of the. Do you know the Westar from Star Wars? The Westar blaster. It's like a really long gun.
Yeah.
I printed a reproduction of one of those out because I really like that, and I wanted one for my office, and my youngest was like, "So you are printing guns?" I'm like, "Yeah, a solid block of plastic gun." Yeah, I mean, it doesn't. I'd still get shot by a cop if they saw me with this, but in my office it looks fantastic. And so being like a sci-fi nerd and being like kind of a bit of a Tinkerbell, I fucking love having a 3D printer in the house. When I finish recording tonight, I'm going to go down and I'm going to put a whole bunch of stuff up to print through the night, and then in the morning I'll have presents waiting for me to fucking peel away, because you get all these like little plastic tree structures to support it, and you have to like pull them off. So it's like fucking unwrapping presents in the morning. So I just wanted to say, if you're on the fence about a 3D printer and you think you might actually use it, give it a shot. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to have in the house. It'll become this kind of constant sound in the background, where you'll just start building more and more things, and it'll just be like. My son was building these. I I think he's building a pair of hips for one of his combiners, and he wanted to use multiple colors. And there's like, and every time the printer switches between plastics, it has to kind of like pop out the last of the previous color to make room for the next one, so there's no mixing, right? So it's basically it fucking poops is really what it does. It poops out these little spirals of kind of like hot plastic to clear the way for the next color. But it does it for this particular thing a lot because there's a lot of little bits, so it keeps going back and forth because it can't just do one area because it's kind of all rising together. So I walked in the room and the fucking 3D printer had like just shat all over the floor. There's just all these little spirally bits of plastic on the floor. It was very funny. And so, was cooking and I just hear and then there'd be a pause and there'd be like a and then fucking I'd hear like the plastic rustle across the floor and then I'd hear and be back at it. And it's because some of these things take so long. But it just becomes this kind of thing in the background, and you just keep finding. And if you're like me, a searcher as well, you'll just keep finding stuff. You keep finding weird shit that people do, and then start wondering if you could do this and do that. And yeah, and even my wife was like, "Well, that's kind of neat," She's like, "Do you think you could find this for me?" And I was like, and then we did. We found a really cool orchid pot that somebody had designed and just put up there. So I totally get why Cory Doctorow is excited about this. I also totally understand why it wasn't a bigger deal to the culture. Because it still requires work. It still requires creativity. It still requires attention to detail. And it's not perfect. There's still a certain level of I have to adjust this. I have to sand this. I printed some stuff and realized don't get me wrong, that Violin thing I printed was fucking perfect. But I made a bunch of little things and, edges had to be sanded. Things had to be spread out a little bit because they weren't quite right. But I really love the technology. I feel bad we didn't get one sooner. But it came into our life at the right time for my son and myself. So... yeah, and everybody, man, going back to the whole everyone wants to turn a hobby into something. I can't tell you how many people are like, are you going to start selling stuff online? And I'm like, no! I'm not selling anything online. I'm going to print things out that I want for fucking me. And for friends and family. And otherwise, no! Not everything has to be a marketable fucking shit. Some things you just want to do for yourself. So, yes, I like 3D printer, and now I'm finding all kinds of weird colors to do shit in. Hopefully maybe I can find some more Violin. Oh, you know what? My next big project, which is gonna take I think 15 hours to print, is I found the Callipygian Venus. Have you seen that statue?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, so the Callipygian Venus, if you don't know what it is a Roman statue of a woman pulling her skirt up to flash you her ass. It's a very well known statue, and there's like all kinds of story of where it may come from, but essentially it's the first ass flash of history, I guess. And it's a really neat statue. And somebody has a reproduction, a scan online. I was like, I'm printing that out. I love that statue. I saw that thing in person. So yeah, because I'm sleazy and I like naked women, and that's just.
This is a safe space for filth.
Yeah.
Oh man, I can't imagine what the fuck people are printing out in that respect. I mean, as of this moment, everything I'm doing on a 3D printer is like absolutely benign. I printed shit out for like my fucking Legos. You know what I mean? Like, I'm printing like high art and Legos and sci-fi geekery.
Listen, I guarantee. Okay, you know what? I'm going to look for this. So let's see. What would it be? 3D. What do they call is it pattern? Blueprint? What do they call it?
Oh no, it's a plan or a
plan.
3D,
That's the word.
3D
plan.
3D
for
mold.
dildos.
3D scan.
All right, here we go. Dildos. Let's see. I'm actually curious what.
Oh shit! If we're gonna do that, let's go full on this. Okay.
Yeah, I'm an adult. Okay.
Dildo 3D scan. I want a face
Sexy
on
Minotaur.
Doctor Doom. I want a Doctor Doom dildo. Doctor Doom dildo.
Well, the first thing
3D
came to
scan.
mind was some X-Files fangirl has made one with David Duchovny's head as the head of the dildo. That's what I was going to look for. But I'm just like, I'll just
that's
look at everything.
fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, why not?
No, I can't. You know what? Honestly, I can't find a Doctor Doom dildo.
Oh, wait a minute.
But I did find a stack of skulls, so it's a Doom dildo. It's just not a doctor. Didn't go to college and get a PhD.
Oh.
It's just a Doom dildo. Yeah.
Of course, there's a Pokemon subset, and it's very extensive.
Pokemon subset of what?
Vaporeon. Wow, that's disturbing. But what else is what I think?
Wait, are we still talking about dildos? Are these
No,
dildos?
no. This whatever this is bigger.
Holy shit!
Yeah,
I just found a Pikachu dildo.
I found an anal plug shark, which is
Oh my
wow.
god!
Look at
Oh man!
holy crap!
You can print a butt plug that's Pokemon. That's Pikachu's tail. That's
of course.
both adorable and dirty.
That the one I just sent you is actually, if not for the fact that I really have no use for it, I'd almost say print me that because that thing is awesome looking. But I mean, it is awesome looking.
I am an adult. You know what?
Jesus. Yeah.
I think
Look at that thing.
that'd be an interesting conversation. Hey guys, I'm
Well,
just gonna print out this big shark
right.
butt
For 14
plug.
hours. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too is I honestly have no idea how to explain certain things to my kids. I saw this great statue of Chun-Li squatting that was a phone holder, and I have the Chun-Li, what do you call it, squat statue, which I adore. But I was like, yeah, see the statue. There's a whiff of art about that. This is so much more like anime sleaze. And it's going to be sitting there slowly printing out for 14 hours. It's a good thing.
Sure.
I can't print out anything I can't explain to my children because it's in a public place. So yes, I don't know if I can get you. I don't know if I can print out this anal plug shark for you quite yet.
No,
But you're right.
I don't
It
actually,
is
I
exceptionally.
don't actually want it, but it's very.
It is exceptionally well done.
Oh, I found a RoboCop one too. There you go. It's. I mean, it's.
Oh
I don't
my
know what
God.
makes that RoboCop.
Holy shit! No, you're right. There is all kinds of.
cyberpunky.
I mean, outside of the
Yeah.
statues, yeah.
Oh yeah. Alien Queen Breeder. Hold on, I'm curious. I mean, this could be the whole show. Oh, okay, you know what? That's in fairness, this is a very Geiger-esque looking adult toy. Yes, they did a good job with that. It does. It looks like
it
something
work?
Geiger would have sold.
God damn it! No, I want to send
Yeah.
this to you. Hold on. I have to send this to you. Where'd it go?
Oh my god! Some of the names are better than even the actual thing.
Dildokamon? Dildokamon! Anyway, yes.
Yeah,
So,
I saw that one. Oh, beautiful.
the dagger with the wolf head? Yeah, that thing's amazing.
A song of ice and orgasm. Great.
So, in conclusion,
In conclusion,
3D printers are a lot of fun, but they're not going to bring the fun. You have to find the fun, and then you print out whatever your fun is. And you can print it
lots
out
of fun
in
to be found.
lots of colors and whatnot, and you know. But it's up to you what you want to do with it. But I think it's a lot of fun. I think
Boy,
it's a lot-
is it? Let me tell you.
Well,
Just
I mean,
what I'm
that's
saying.
listen. That's everything. You can make a dildo out of sucre if you want.
No. I agree.
You know?
Wow. Well, I mean, I guess yeah. Why not just make a fist? Sure. It's just a fist.
Listen, if a fist is
Got
what you're looking
awfully
for,
skinny.
yeah.
Well, I guess that makes it easier to hold. It's got an awfully slim wrist. All right, okay, but you know what? There's also lazy. This is called the X-Men butt plug, and the only thing that's X-Men about it is it's got yellow and black coloring like the outfits. Not actually, there's no X on it.
Well, I mean, what the hell would an X-Men butt plug look like? You want it to be?
Well, I mean-
you know what? It should be Xavier's head. It
No.
should be. And then the
I can't
base is
believe
his
you
wheelchair.
haven't hit the obvious thing.
What's that?
Okay, I'll just tell you. It would be a fist it would be Wolverine's fist and only the middle claw, except to be a penis. That's exactly what I would. If somebody said X-Men dildo, it's
Yeah.
Wolverine's fist.
Yeah, you and I have a different imagination for these things.
I guess so. I'm thinking.
That's fine.
I'm thinking
Listen.
art and I'm thinking practical and art.
It takes all kinds, man. That's fine.
Practic art.
So, but honestly, the 3D printer thing actually is a good segue for me.
The
Because I want to talk about
Whoa!
show.
I don't know what that is. Go ahead.
I wanted to talk about a show that I finished watching, And there was a scene in the show all about 3D printers, which I thought was very neat. Which is that essentially, so I watched the series The Day of the Jackal with is it Eddie Redmayne? Is his name?
Ongoing series,
Yeah.
should be said.
Oh, is it still going?
It's got the dash after it, so I assume that means it's still going.
Oh, yeah. You know what? But the first season
It says 2024 dash.
I don't know. The
So-
first season kind of concludes for me. If there is no extra season, like the show has an ending that's almost like an 80s ending, where it's like, where are we gonna go from here? You know what I mean, like kind of thing. But
Also,
Yeah.
Lashana Lynch, who I would still actually be interested to see a Captain Marvel movie with her. One of the few Marvel projects I'd actually be interested in at this point.
Man, and she is amazing in this. So,
Oh, she's good.
But the reason the seg is that there's a one point in the show where he's trying to
They
get
print a dildo?
a rifle. No, he's trying to get a rifle that'll get through security, and they print one, and essentially they use these high metal content polymers that will give you like, I think he can get like maybe 8 shots out of it before the whole thing becomes deformed.
Sure.
But they have this whole wall, and it's an engineer guy who basically builds like weird weapons. And yeah, they print a lot of these parts to make this weird fucking thing. So I thought it was funny. No, I really enjoyed this show. I didn't, you know when you watch a show and you don't know morally who you should be rooting for, where you're watching it and you're like, I'm having a tough time here. So, oh god, you just said her name too. Hold on. I want to make sure I say her name because she's really good.
I don't know if I'm saying it right. Lashana Lynch is how I'm saying it.
Yeah, hold on.
I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
There you go. So, Eddie Redmayne as would not have been my first choice for the Jackal, right? But he's really good in the role because he can go from very kind of sensitive and like he can switch kind of his entire demeanor very quickly. He's very good at it. And you never really know where he is in this series because this is different from other versions of the Jackal I've seen because he's married and has a kid. He has a wife. She doesn't know what he does, and she's living in Cadiz, Spain. And as the series goes on, she finds out what he fucking does, and his private life falls apart as his professional life is challenged. I guess that's the tagline. Whereas Lashana Lynch is working for, I think it's MI6, and she is trying to find out. She's trying to find out who the Jackal is, right? And as the series goes on, I think what it is that you expect the MI6 officer to be a better person than they are, whereas the assassin is already an assassin. So I wonder if that's this, because as the series goes on, I wasn't sure who to root for. I mean, there was a weird part of me that was like, yeah, Jackal, shoot those rich people, go ahead. I don't really care. I kind of hope you get away with it. But Lashana Lynch's character, his name is Pullman. Pullman starts to do some genuinely kind of like questionable shit. And there's some stuff that's not her fault, but there's another thing in there where like when shit goes wrong, she kind of refuses to take blame for it. She refuses to take responsibility. You know, like there's a woman she's trying to pressure to get information from her husband, and she orchestrates her daughter being arrested at a like a what do you call it? Like a protest at some corporation, so that they have the daughter. And the daughter dies of a heart condition while in the jail. They didn't do it. They didn't do it at all. In fact, they realized that she had some kind of pre-existing condition. She just happened to die. So you're like, oh shit, that's very bad timing. But then she doesn't tell the woman that her daughter is dead. She covers it long enough to pressure her and talk to her like her daughter is still going to be let out when the woman helps her. So there's this morality where like, okay, her death is not your fault, but you then lied to her mother about the fact that her daughter had died till it was convenient. So there's this kind of questionable nature of the character all the way throughout. Whereas like you're always trying to figure out what the hell is going on with the Jackal. Does he really love his wife? Is she just another cover? Because you see the way he kind of switches around with people that he's dealing with and people that he's using to his advantage. And you're like, are you doing the same thing to your wife? And as the show goes on, you kind of realize that no, he isn't. He really does love this woman. As a single season of a show, it is a perfect tragedy. You don't really need a second season because the show kind of sets itself up. So early on, there's an assassination. He does it. It's such a unique shot that it kind of catches everyone's attention because it's kind of beyond that zone that they thought people could shoot. And then it starts people looking for him. And at that point, the Jackal gets an offer for another job that's like even bigger. But then the first guy decides not to pay him for reasons in the show. And the Jackal's like, well, shit, I can't not have someone pay me. Like, that looks fucking bad. Like, I have to make sure that people understand if you fucking hire me and I do the job, I get paid. So he has to kind of go back to the scene of the crime to now eliminate the guy who stiffed him. And that's important because at the end of the movie, or the end of the show, the person who hired him for this big job not only doesn't pay him, but tries to kill him to cover up the fact that they ever hired him in the first place. So the show actually ends with him having survived the attack, and you know what he's going to do. I don't need a second season of this show. You know what he's going to do. He's going to fucking kill this guy. Because that's what he did to the last guy. So it's not a cliffhanger in any way, in that respect. The other part for him is that throughout the show, his wife finds out that he is an assassin. And he tries to lie to her throughout and tries to kind of make it just that, first he tries to convince her that he's like a corporate security guy, but then, it kind of comes out that, yeah, he kills people for money. And the tragedy is at the end of the show, he really is he expects to do this big job, get paid, and walk away. Walk away from the job, walk away from all of it. There's this great sequence where he leaves his special rifle in its suitcase at the airport and just kind of leaves it to drift off and walks away. And it's very sort of indicative that like he's leaving this life. Of course, the problem is when he gets there, she has left. Because naturally, that's kind of the sane response. She's like, oh my God, I married an assassin. And so she grabs the kid and leaves. So despite the fact that the Jackal pulled off the job, at the end of the show, he doesn't get paid. He's lost his wife and child. He's right back where he started. Right? That's the tragedy for him. On the other end, you have Lashana Lynch, who in her pursuit of the Jackal, she essentially is destroying her marriage and kind of losing touch with her daughter and doing all these kind of, morally questionable activities, not being around. And she gets to this point where they pull her off the case. And she's like, you know what? If you're going to pull me off this case, fine. She's like, I fucking quit. And she leaves. And then when she realizes she doesn't have the job, she's like, okay, you know what? I should call my husband and I should try and go back to my family and make this work. And so she does. She goes, she reconnects with her husband. They move back into the house after having left for a bit. She's got her family. Except the MI6 says, no, you know what? We do want you to go after him. We want you to go after him and we want you to do an off the books. Like we basically want you to kill him is really what it is. We know where he might be. And her character has the opportunity to say no and just walk away. But she can't let it go. And so she says to her family, just this one last thing, and then everything will be fine. And she goes on the mission. And surprisingly, she dies. I didn't think the show was going to do that. Because you were like, well, there's another season. Yeah, you know what? She doesn't make it. Her poor decision making ends up killing her in the end. And that's the other tragedy, which is that she had got her husband and child back. She had kind of found her way back from the darkness and was now trying to figure out, like, well, what am I going to do with my life now? And then she went back. And the two characters in this have this fascinating parallel where all the Jackal seems to want is to make enough money to get out and be with his wife and child. Whereas Lynch's character has a husband and a child, can walk away, and yet chooses to stay. Chooses to go back into it, which inevitably kills them. So, I don't need a second season of this show. I think as a single storyline, I think is contained. And yes, at the very end, like I said, it's kind of a, at the end of Bourne Identity, right? There's all the action, and the last sequence is him basically showing up at the hut that Franca Potente has bought with the money. She's got like a scooter rental or something like that, and he's like, "Hey, how much for a scooter?" And then it ends with the two of them there together, right? And the thing is, if you never go on to watch any other movies, it's a very nice ending, because it kind of leaves you this idea of, if you never got another Bourne movie, you could always just say, hey, Bourne and the girl found a happy place, right? At the end of the show, you're like, okay, the MI6 officer's dead, and the Jackal is so good at his job, he'll kill this guy. He will. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. Because he's very good at it. So there's no cliffhanger. It's just he's going to do to this guy what he did to the guy earlier in the show. The show has already set it up for you. The real tragedy is that he lost his wife, he lost his kid, and he wants to find them, but that doesn't necessarily mean he will. And that's probably what they're going to explore in the next season if they do. But as a singular show, you can watch the first season of this show and have it be just a complete experience. The music is really good. They have a really interesting kind of soundtrack, good like music choices. And I like that it's a show full of... There's no one you can 100% get behind. Everybody makes these kind of morally questionable decisions. And you don't really know who the good guy is. I mean, I think to some degree the Jackal is the protagonist, but he's definitely not the hero. If anything, this is a show with two antagonists. The Jackal and Lynch's character Pullman are both antagonists for each other. Which I really enjoyed. I mean, can you think of a show or a movie where the two leads are basically co-antagonists to each other? There really is no protagonist. I can't think of anything.
Where there's really no protagonist.
Yeah. I mean, classically speaking, the Jackal is the protagonist of the series. You spend the most time with him.
Oh, well, okay. So you mean protagonist as central character, not hero.
Yeah, but the thing is that Lynch's character is also central. The two of them are central to the thing. So they're like each other's antagonist throughout.
Probably, okay, this is going to be a weird comparison, but probably... No, not if you're going to say, okay, does it matter what the morality is, or is it just the idea of you don't know
No, they both seem to have a very sort of... She's the whole, morally it's okay if the end product is good. Whereas he's an ex-military guy who lost faith in the military, and his whole thing is there is no morality. It's just me getting paid. Right? So, in that respect, she should be the protagonist because she's at least wants the end result of good. Whereas he's like, good doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a fun show.
The closest thing I can think of is like Twin Peaks Season 3, where Mr. C and Dougie, you don't really know who the main character is. Because they're both the main character, and they're both very different. But
yeah,
outside of that, I mean, I think you could argue that Well, geez, I don't know. Farscape kind of gets like that. Like, is Aaron the main character or is Crichton the main character after a while?
Oh,
I
you
don't
know what? I think the argument is always going to be that Crichton is the main character of that show. You know what it
Interesting,
is?
because I think it's Aaron.
When they separate, right, and they go their separate ways, Aaron is the protagonist of the one thread, and Crichton is still the protagonist of the Moya thread. So one of them, they're on Talon and they're on. But when Aaron comes back, I think it goes back to being. I mean, listen, it's also that is a very sort of team show. You know what I mean? Like
Sure.
they've got lots.
Yeah.
Whereas in this show, I mean, these two people are the leads. They are the leads. They have lesser people kind of around them, but these two are the leads of this show. You know, whereas in Farscape, you know, there's Aaron and there's Zan and there's Chiana. And
Well, I mean, there are lots, but they are the anchors.
Oh, they are. They are. Yeah.
Let's see. Let me look up a list. There is a list. Let's see if I agree with any of these or if I've seen them. Okay, absolutely fabulous. Sure, but I don't think that's what you're talking about. Dual protagonist shows. I'm trying to see if there's anything that I think is a good.
I know, but
it's
weird because it's dual like antagonists is what it is.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to find one that's a good analog.
You know, I mean, Killing Eve. Except in Killing Eve, one of them is good.
Yeah.
So.
So far, not coming up with one. That's like what you're talking about, where the morality is that nothing.
Yeah, and honestly,
nothing.
There's a moment in this show where I felt the writers pull back, right? So the whole show, the Jackal is manipulative. He's trying to do what he wants to do, but he also doesn't just want to, like he's ruthless, but he's not like he's not mean. Do you know what I mean? He's ruthless, but he's very sort of. And
you know what?
Actually,
I do have one.
What's that?
It's a comedy, though, sort of.
Oh, that works just the same.
There's a show called Reaper that only ran for 2 seasons.
Oh yeah, the Kevin Smith show.
Yeah. So the 2 main characters in that show are the devil and the devil's son, who is his soul collector. But the devil is played as, hey, God did all this. Why am I bad? I'm fulfilling my role. This is what I do. You can see it as evil, but I'm just a function of what I was made to be. You want to blame somebody, blame. And then the kid, the Reaper character, he is, you would think, a good person, but he is in fact murdering people. He's murdering escaped souls from hell, some of whom have good reasons to feel like they were unjustly put in there.
Yeah.
So there's a moral weirdness to that whole show because the devil
if you take a step back and look at it, and in this show there's this moment with the Jackal where he's trying to get out of the country. He's killed somebody and they're after him, and he sees this British couple with an RV, and he hijacks them in the RV, and he's trying to figure out what the fuck he's going to do, right? And the husband is an older guy, knows that they're kind of in a bad situation. He even says to him, he's like, are you going to kill us? And the Jackal doesn't say anything. And he's kind of very mellow with them, right? And even says at one point that they kind of remind him of his parents. And at one point, he's like, hey, let's just all kind of, lay low for the night. He's like, in the morning we'll see what happens, and you seriously don't know what he's gonna do. I don't know, I couldn't say. And then the woman stabs him in the back when he's not looking. She grabs a knife that's on the table, and I didn't expect her to do it, at which point he shoots. He gets into like a quarrel with the husband and her, and he shoots them both. And I was kind of sitting there going, yeah, see, you wouldn't make it. So he just went in there and shot them both. Because if you did that, you'd be giving up a little bit of moral territory where like, oh, fuck, you just showed up and killed these 2 people, had nothing to do with anything, right? You've become totally ruthless, right? but they give him a reason. They create kind of a fight situation for him. And I was like, yes, this is the moment in the show where the show lets me know that they're really trying to keep the Jackal in this kind of moral gray zone rather than just be like, no, he's the bad guy. So yeah, I mean, if Scorpius had more time in Farscape, I would say the two of them would be like, but Crichton is good. I think that's the thing, is that I'm talking about an idea where you've got, when you're watching Reaper, do you question the main character? Do you look at him and go, wow, dude, you're kind of doing bad shit here? Or do you look at him and go, yeah, get those bad guys?
Well, it plays around with it. So there are moments where even some of the other characters say to him, hey, you don't have to actually do this stuff. You're not really trying to get out of this in the way that you could. So I think it flirts with the idea, kind of what you're talking about. It gives itself an escape route in almost every case. And then finally, there is one soul that he does kind of help escape, but I think it dooms somebody else. So there's always kind of that angle to it too.
Okay.
It plays around. The reason I didn't say Scorpius is because, Scorpius
is not the lead,
is not prevalent from the beginning. He's not there.
So somebody tried to compare it to Dexter. Except the thing with Dexter, there's no parallel to him.
Yeah, there's nobody. That's why I said is morality a big deal, and you said no, it's the dual thing.
Yeah, and you're absolutely kind of in support of him getting away with it because he's killing bad guys, quote unquote. Yeah. Yeah, no, I can't think of another show that does it this well for me. This is one of those things where I would tell people, if you like kind of a vaguely spy type shows, or I guess assassination stories. But if you like, because it's very cloak and dagger at times, and he has to set up these. He's got MI6 after him, but he's like trying to set up these jobs, and
I mean, we're going to be reviewing a show where there's an aspect of this.
Oh yeah, I know.
Wait a minute.
But it is exceptionally well done. I had read some reviews and I kind of waffling about it. And then when I finally watched it, I was like, oh man, I was like, you know what? I was like, I really enjoy this. And Eddie Redmayne is fucking acting his ass off. I mean, like, he said he goes from being fucking like kind of emotionally available to being like kind of a stone cold killer very quickly. And the way he does it too, where you're like, you can see it where he loses it, where he suddenly becomes dangerous. And they do give you kind of a backstory of the character too. Whereas like you never really find out how the MI6 character, Bianca, I think is her first name, how she ends up kind of being so morally bankrupt. You do understand that basically the Jackal was in the military, shooting for people for the military, and then someone was like, hey, you guys are just killing people for the military. Why don't you kill people for us and make money? Like, what is it? Does
sure.
it, is there really
yeah. There isn't.
I
there
can
is
always
an aspect
tell.
Of that.
I can always tell when we're at the end of a topic because Joe sends me a sideshow statue.
Yeah, well, I happen to remember that they made that Godzilla with the white eyes, which is just funny.
It's still loading, bitches.
Oh,
you know
can't
what's really
see
funny?
It.
Speaking of, now it's still loading. Speaking of Godzilla, I realized the other day that where I have Godzilla set up, Godzilla is looming over me when I write. I have the statue set up
like
in
Conan
such a place that
over what's his face?
Yeah. So when I'm writing, if I look to my left, Conan, where the statue, it's like a 6-foot Godzilla staring down at me.
Oh, there you go.
But I have such a fondness for Godzilla. So
no, I understand.
Oh yeah, that's a vicious looking one. Really? You know what? I like the Hokkaido version. I like that somewhat befuddled destroyer of worlds. It's like, yeah, he's like, whoo? Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
And then he just burns everything to the ground. Yeah. But no, I like my my giant Godzilla statue.
I was gonna say it's not too little. It's a giant head.
I gotta hug that thing to move it. I mean, it's so big.
I believe it.
Yeah. So anyway, Yeah, and that's kind of all I have for the table. So if you're interested in, a kind of more modern espionage type, cloak and dagger type thing, fucking Day of the Jackal was a lot of fun. I don't need a second season. You don't need a second. You can watch it as its own thing. Yeah, there's actually a few shows like that. Because a while back, I watched, what is it called? Black Doves with Keira Knightley. Have you heard of that? I can't remember who she did that for.
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it, but I've heard of it. Sure.
That show was really neat. Just on like a side tangent, that show, I like Keira Knightley. Like, I think she's a looker, and I like her because she's older now and she's doing action. And what's interesting about that show is that she's a spy, but she is part of an independent spy agency. So they kind of work for the highest bidder. And then, so she has this independent agency who she works for, and then the other main character in the show is is basically like an assassin that works for them. And what's fascinating is that like they really get into kind of the backstory of the assassin, who is a gay man, and essentially had to leave London because they tracked him back to his home, and his boyfriend didn't know that he was a hitman, and he very nearly lost his boyfriend and had to kill his way out. And so his boyfriend, who just thought that he was I think it was a real estate agent or something like that, all of a sudden had his boyfriend basically killing all these people to get him out of there, and he had to leave London altogether. So when he comes back to help Keira Knightley's character, and the central relationship of the show is the two of them, but everything that's going on around them, because Keira Knightley's married to a guy who, this is one of the weirder things in the show, she was set up to be with him. So she cares for him, but she's only really married to him because she's a spy. And she even had kids with him. Like, it's very weird, deep cover shit. And at one point she talks about leaving and taking the kids with her. At which point the agencies that she works for is like, well, we'll have to replace you with somebody. And they like move a woman into the office where the guy works to start flirting with him. Like, it's such a weird world. But it was a really good show, and I like Keira Knightley. So, that's kind of those are the types of shows I tend to watch with my wife. But Day of the Jackal was really good. Considering that the other one, what's the other Jackal? It was the Bruce Willis one where he, God, who was in that with him?
I don't remember, but it's called The Jackal.
Yeah, it was the Jackal. He was
where he was blonde. I remember that.
Yeah, he was. Well, he had a few different weird wigs.
And I think he played a.
Oh,
gay
you know what it is?
character.
It was fucking Richard Gere. Isn't Richard Gere supposed to be Irish? I think he's supposed to be Irish
sure.
in that.
Why not?
Yeah, he blows off Jack Black's arm with like a super gun at one point. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. This is way better than that.
I believe it.
So,
I would
there you
hope
go.
so.
Well, that's all my shit. You have a ton of shit too, right?
Well, I just wanted to do a finished review, I should say. Even though I'm not really there. Okay, I'm finished with the campaign. That's what I always have to say. I finished the main campaign for Star Wars Outlaws, which was released in 2024. I picked it up dirt cheap. Yeah, 100%ed it. Actually, wait, did I buy it?
Hey, you know what?
Or was it?
Quick question then, before you go any further. I thought it was included. Yeah. What did you think of her ship?
The Trailblazer?
Yeah, because a lot of people apparently complained about her ship.
Well, okay. All right. There's a problem that you're inevitably going to run into with something like this. Star Wars has some of the great spaceship designs ever. Right? I mean, the Millennium Falcon, of course.
Yeah.
The Lambda-class shuttle, which you do fly briefly in this game. Boba Fett's ship. On and on and on, where you have, I always, the best ship as far as the Rebels, to my mind, has always been the A-Wing. The A-Wing is in this, and a number of times you'll get to fly it, unfortunately. I've always loved the A-Wing. But the A-Wing, the X-Wing, the Y-Wing, this is the Star Destroyers, the TIE Fighter. These are all great ships, right? So you got to do one of two things. One,
honestly,
you have to try. Yeah.
It looks vaguely Star Trek-y to me, which I know is probably part of the problem.
Okay, it doesn't to me, but that's fine. I mean, it doesn't look like much of anything. So
That's
it
what
is
I mean.
generic.
Like it has kind of like a.
Well, okay.
Yeah, I like it. Let me just be very clear. I do like the ship.
I don't mind it. I agree it doesn't have any personality, but I think the problem is, how do you get personality in this? I mean, I don't think everybody was creaming their shorts over the Razor Crest, and I think that thing looks like shit. When he got the old Phantom Menace ship, I was like, okay, there's something that's got some looks to it.
The little zipper, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't make any goddamn sense for a bounty hunter, but at least it looked good.
I liked the Razor Crest. I wasn't crazy about it. I like the Razor Crest because it reminds me of the Serenity from Firefly.
Okay, another ship that I think is nothing. I don't think the Serenity has anything to it. The big bulbous engines thing, I'm not a fan of the Warthog plane that some people absolutely adore.
Oh my god, those things are awesome. Yeah, see, I'm in that camp.
Right.
I like that. Yeah, I like that.
So there you go. So this is where you get into this thing, right? So the Trailblazer, to me, I'm not saying I think it looks good. I just don't think it looks bad. It looks like exactly what the game makes it, which is a ship that she stumbles onto.
And you spend a great deal of time in that ship, right? Because that's her base of operations.
Yes, yeah. But it's not like it's her. Like the Razor Crest is his ship. As far as I know, he kind of customized it a bit or something. But in any event, she basically, this is the only ship she can use, so she uses it. They don't make it out like Han Solo with the Millennium Falcon's like, yeah, man, I've customized this thing top to bottom. Like, it's his
this is
ship.
my hot rod, bitches. Yeah.
Right. You know? And I mean, Boba Fett's ship is amazing. Right? That's his ship. He made that ship, pretty much. So it is a model of ship, but he has customized it. So, whereas the Trailblazer, the basic thrust of the game is that Kay, who's the main character, she's just getting pushed into things she doesn't want to be doing to begin with. She just wants to go off with her little dog alien and be left alone. And she keeps getting dragged into shit because she's a low-level criminal. And, it's the kind of, I just need enough money so I can retire and go away. And every time I try, I get folded into something bigger. So, question?
No, I'm listening.
Oh, all right. So, here's the kind of the single line summation of this game once I got to the end of it. This game, and I say this not joking, this game is a better Star Wars movie than the last 6 mainline films, bar none. And it's not even close.
Somebody wants to start a fight. Okay. Not with me, mind you. Not with me. I just think it's...
you can start your fight. You're going to lose. You're going to lose over and over and over.
Not with me, but somewhere out there, a nerd is crying.
Now, I want to specifically say, I'm talking about the prequels and sequels. I'm not talking about Rogue One, which, from what I understand, is a great movie, but it's not for me. So I'm putting that aside. And I like Solo a lot.
Is it because everybody dies?
Yes, that's exactly why.
Okay.
I just have no interest. I have no interest in a movie where everybody's dead.
I know.
I'm good.
But honestly, here's the thing. I will always go to bat for Solo because I think Solo is a fun space movie.
Agree. I like Solo a lot. Now, I don't think Solo is better than any of the original 3, but it's a fun movie.
But it's just, honestly, it's like, Jesus, you know something terrible? When we watch Space Truckers, I kept thinking of Solo.
Solo. Oh, sure. Oh, yeah. It's a fun romp. That's all it is.
It's a fun romp. That's exactly. Yes. There you go. Yeah. And honestly,
it's a fun romp.
If the sequels had been fun space romps, I think I would have been fine with it. It's that they didn't.
I agree. Yeah. No, I'm with you. The Star Wars Outlaws, the basic idea is that she tries to break into this very loaded... it takes place... Her home planet is Canto Bight, which is the casino planet from Last Jedi.
Oh, God, that place. Okay.
Yeah, but you see you don't see the stupid parts. Like, there's no kid with a broom or nothing. And there's no horses. You can bet on the space horses, but you don't ever see them. Yeah, you bet on a hologram version of them, which is fine. But she's from there, and she is the daughter of a, what do they call it? A slicer, which is a hacker or scoundrel or whatever. And the mom is not the best mother.
A hacker, like somebody who hacks technology, or somebody who
jumps things? Yeah. Yeah, no. Slicer is
Got
their
it.
version
Okay.
of hacker.
Got it.
Sorry. Which I do think is what they've always called them, because I'm reading some of the older books and they are referring to them as slicers. So I'm like, oh, okay, this has always been the term. I kind of forgot. So her mother is a slicer and kind of a deadbeat mom, and does the whole, you know what, I think you're better off without me. And she just dumps her in this bar with this guy who happens to be a nice, friendly bartender. Who's like, you know what, you can stay up in this room. I know your mom ditched Johnny and I feel bad. Like, he is the kind of nice guy of the whole thing. And so she grows up with a problem with her mother, understandably, and kind of goes on her own. And she's never completely out of money, but she is not a good enough criminal to ever be comfortable. And so, again, it's this idea that she's just trying to find that one big score that she can manage. And she happens to break into this thing, and this happens, the place she breaks into is the palace of a very high-level Imperial spy master. You don't know this for most of the game. You think he's just a criminal, but a very ruthless criminal. The typical thing, and at first, when this game first started, I was like, okay. Because it starts off, he sits down with all these criminals, and of course he kills them all, and he's like, ha ha ha. He doesn't necessarily laugh, but they're playing him so menacingly,
Yeah.
you're like, okay.
Look what
Yes.
I have done. Yeah.
But that gets layered and unfolded, and in fact, there's more to it as the thing goes on. So it's a nice kind of setup to make you think it's sort of lame and conventional, and then it gets... What actually ends up being the case is he is both a criminal, but also he has constructed a secret police within the Empire called the ISB. And so when you break in, all these alarms go off, you have to escape, and you're on the run, and he puts out a death mark. So now, anywhere you go, you have to be watching out, because they can either, a bounty hunter will come for you, or if the Empire sees you, you're dead. So she's under the gun, and she's just trying to figure out how she can get the hell out of there or get enough money to kind of buy off the death mark or whatever. And she ends up falling in with this guy who comes to her and says, hey, I want to break into where you were trying to break into, but I will put together a crew that will actually be able to do it. And so you really don't have a choice. And you say, okay. And so most of the game, the bulk of it is you assembling the crew. It's Ocean's 11 kind of thing. So he pairs you with what I didn't realize at first is one of the Phantom Menace battle droids, but it's a second version of it. Like, the back of it doesn't have that long cone on it, but it's basically a battle droid. Okay. And it's got a restraining bolt, so he works for this guy. But he's like a gunslinger. He's got the long duster on and like the gun thing on it, and he's fucked up. Like, he's got a big hole in his chest because he got hit with something. But he fought in the Clone Wars. And he's talking about it like a veteran with PTSD who doesn't want to talk about it, because you keep trying to get him to ask and he won't talk about it. So you'll be like, well, what happened? And he's like, and she says something like, did you kill a lot of people in the Clone Wars? And he's like, I was a soldier, so of course I killed people. And he just leaves it at that. So he's very taciturn throughout the thing, which is great, because they're giving him a personality without making him into C-3PO. So he's very cold for the most part, but he's not cold's the wrong word. He's very neutral. So he backs Kay up. He backs you up because you are working, and he is working for the same guy. So the guy's like, well, you have to keep her alive. So he's always got your back, but it's because he's being ordered to. And the question through a lot of the middle part of the game is he actually, if that restraining bolt is taken off,
would he
what
not
happens?
just kill you? Yeah.
Yeah, because a couple of times you kind of bring it up, and he's like, don't do it. He's like, don't take this thing off me. And then there's a point where his power source starts to fail, and he starts just going crazy and like wiping people out. And so you're like, oh, is the restraining bolt keeping him from being an assassin droid? Will he just start murdering people? And you're not really sure for a lot of the game. I was actually not sure what was going to be the end result with that droid. Now, then there's a certain point where his responses change a bit. And you're like, no, okay. He will actually be a good droid if you take this. There's a certain point where you realize you're taking that bolt off at some point. But for a while, you're not sure. And so you're putting these people together. And for, I'd say, the first half of the game, and of course, this depends on how fast you're doing the missions or not.
Yeah.
It is an Ubisoft game, so is it overstuffed? Yes. I do think the game could have done a better job of making it clear what stuff you really should be doing and shouldn't be doing. Because there is stuff after a while you realize this is really just kind of, if you want to play it being a stealthy assassin, you can do this, but it actually won't help you all that much. And then there are things that will help you a lot. So inadvertently, by the time I got to the end, I was so superpowered because of the level of experience I had that I was just wiping the Death Troopers right out. Like, there was no threat. I didn't die once in the final battle, where I think you are somewhat intended to be not necessarily ready for the overwhelming force they're throwing at you. And I'm like, oh no, I have the super blaster. Bang, 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 bang. You're all dead. Because I had done a lot of the side stuff, which I thought was fun. And so you go around, you assemble this crew, and each of them are neat characters. I do like the fact that each of them has a distinct personality, which isn't always the case. So you get a Rhodian mechanic, which is a Greedo type. And the Rhodian mechanic was basically in the Empire and started to realize they didn't like aliens so much and that maybe sticking around wasn't so good in the long term for him. So he decided to bail. And of course, the Empire don't like that. So he's just looking for a way out. And again, to wipe out his record and the rest of it. But he's a friendly enough. So, I should say, that's the second Rhodian. You team up with one Rhodian for, I'd say, about 5-6 hours. And then he turns on you and you have to kill him. And I did not see that coming. I thought he was going to be on the crew the whole time. And he's helping you get the ship patched up because the ship's broken. And so he's like, you got to get these parts. Okay. And then he's helping you. And then he tries to sell you out and you have to kill him. And I thought that was great because originally I thought in the first hour went, okay, this guy's going to try to cut and run. But then when I got to like hour 4, I'm sitting there going, no, he's going to be, because I realized you're putting together a crew.
He's going to be the guy,
He's going to be the mechanic. No, he fucking turns on you, you wipe his ass out. It's great. It's very, very well done. So for about 50% of the game or so, it's that you putting it together. And then your bomb-making expert is a little a Chandra fan, one of the little rat people. And she is a bomb-crazy lady who's like, she's a widow. So now she's like, I just have fun blowing shit up because my husband's dead and fuck it. And so she's just making bombs and making bomb jokes and talking about maybe blowing up the ship and all this shit. You get this little side commentary. And every time you go into hyperspace, what they do, which I think is a brilliant thing that keeps getting increased as the crew builds, is when you go into hyperspace, it's loading the next area. And so you get banter between these characters. And at first,
that's the clever way to do it. Yeah,
it's really well written because at first it's you and ND9, which is the battle droid, and Nyx, who's the alien dog. And at first, it's Nyx like sniffing around ND9. He's like, "What is this thing doing?" And she's like, he just likes you." And and the thing like sniffs at him. He's like, "What does that mean? Is it trying to tell me something? I don't know what this thing is doing." And he's just very puzzled and slightly annoyed. And then it becomes like, then the bomb person's like, "Hey, have you ever had somebody blow something up in your face, ND9? And he's like, "Yes, I've been around explosives." And she's like, "Good ones? Great ones? What did they do? Did they knock you backwards?" And he's like, "I'd rather not discuss it. I don't like to remember the war." And she's like, "Oh no, but you have to tell me. Was it this? Was it this?" And she's just going on and on. And then the Rhodian's like, I noticed you have that hole in your chest. Do you ever get a circuit buzz in your upper cranial portion if you're near something that throws off this particular wavelength? And he's like, "I'd rather not discuss it." He's like, "You do then?" He's like, "I'd rather not discuss it." He's like, "Okay, so tell me, does it blur your vision?" Like, all this shit goes on as you're jumping into hyperspace. It's great. And so eventually like I said, for the first half, you really don't have anything that connects to the old movies specifically. Obviously, the Empire's out there. There are TIE fighters around. You have to avoid the Empire. You actually bribe some of them. They're very corrupt. There's that type of thing going on. And then you go to Tatooine. And I went, okay, is this now going to have the problem that all the movies have?
The eye roll? Yeah.
Yes. Because I'm like, all right. Because it takes place, if you remember Shadows of the Empire was between Star Wars and Empire. That was in between those movies. Great game from back in the N64 era. This game is between Empire and Jedi. So I went, okay, are you going to run into Leia in her outfit in Mos Eisley? Are you going, you know what, right? I'm sitting here going, because all this shit is happening.
Or is she already going to be in the slave outfit? That would have been the ticket.
Because at some point somebody says, you got to go talk to Jabba. Because, of course, he's alive now.
Oh, my God, that'd be fantastic.
Right? So I'm like, anyway. Here we go.
Yeah,
So you go to Jabba's
I
palace.
don't know why I want digital young Carrie Fisher in the slave outfit, but I mean...
All right, well,
you know.
you're not going to get it, so don't worry about it.
I know,
So-
I know. Listen, if that existed, I would have seen it by now. I know it's not there.
So the way they do that is actually really good
But
because
Lando's there.
Lando is there, and he's really good when his voice is right. He's really good anyway, but because I started thinking about the fact that one of the things that people don't talk about in Jedi is the fact that Lando's really the hero. He blows the Death Star up.
Well, yeah,
Solo's on Endor.
Yeah, the Death Star run is with Lando
It's all
Calrissian in the Millennium Falcon. Yeah.
Yes, it's great. And I sit there and go, was that George Lucas, who was a Berkeley type, so would have been a more progressive? Was that his kind of subtle way of not having the white guy be the hero? Because I don't know. I've never seen him talk about it, but I'm like, I never think about the fact that he's the one flying it, but he is the one flying it. Anyway, so somebody says you have to break into Jabba's palace, go at night. And I went, oh shit, you're going to break into Jabba's palace? Because I'm sitting there going, that's fucking impossible. This is me, not the character. I'm sitting there going, how are you going to break into Jabba's palace? Nobody breaks into Jabba's palace. There's like 80,000 scumbags in there. And you do manage it, and you get caught, of course. But Jabba, and one of the things that I like that the movies never got into, but the books do, and this game does, is the fact that Jabba is not just a mindless murderer.
Well, he's not an idiot.
No, he's not an idiot. And so he catches you, he's like, all right, well, there's two ways we can handle this. I can feed you to my Rancor, or you could take care of this job that nobody else around here seems to be able to do. And you do it. And so there's a couple of jobs where you can work for Jabba for a while. And it's always on a trade-off. It's an interesting system they set up where there's a part where, I'm trying to remember what the mission was, but there's somebody who you realize if you give them to Jabba, he's going to kill them. So you can let them go, and then you contact him and say they got away. And he's like, I've heard they didn't get away. I heard you let them go. And if you just tell him the truth, he's like, okay, well, then you owe me another job. And so then you work for him again. So I like how they handle Jabba in this. You go in, and I sent you this picture, and Han Solo is still frozen in carbonite.
Yes,
and,
I did. I remember that.
And there's a guy standing there that you can talk to. And of course, Kay doesn't know who this is, so she's like, what happened with this guy? And he's like, oh man, I heard he owed Jabba a lot of money and he tried to run and he dumped Jabba's cargo. And he's like, if there's one thing I've learned, it's don't dump Jabba's cargo. And she's like, well, I mean, at least he's alive. And the guy's like, yeah, maybe, but it's no picnic going into carbon freeze. He's like, best case, you come out, you might be permanently blind. Some people don't even survive the thawing process. And so, of course, you're like, well, we know he comes out and he's blind.
Yeah.
He's blinded for a while. But it's great because, again, in this universe, nobody's ever seen somebody in carbonite. So it's like this, it's like having an original Klimt hanging there. Like everybody's gravitating towards it because it's this piece of art. But it also reinforces that Jabba will fuck you up if you turn on him.
Yeah.
And so there is a point where you have to escape, and you don't fight the Rancor. You have to distract it and then like break open a door and get out from it. But you actually do run from the Rancor, which is great. It's a great thing because the Rancor is savage. Like if he gets near you, it's all over, which is what it should be. And you escape. But anyway, so you get to so I was like, okay, that's good. And at that point, I wasn't sure because then you hear about Lando Calrissian. I'm like, okay, are we going to meet him? And you do. And you have to go into a sabacc game against them. And what you find out, and I told you this off, we were playing something. I'm like, one of the great things they kind of, the way that what Kay says, and Lando does not dispute this, is that Lando has this reputation as being the best sabacc player in the galaxy. Except for, of course, Han Solo, who got his ship from him, but he says that Han cheated. So, whatever. But what Kay says is, because Kay is going to beat him. You have him beat, and then a bomb goes off, and the game is stopped. But you and Lando know that you were going to beat him it's like this galaxy-wide gambling tournament to get the location of a moon that has treasure. Almost what that Skeleton Crew show planet was with all that wealth. I don't know if it was the same one. I should have looked it up, but it might be the same moon. I don't actually know. It might have been. Because they're talking about this galactic treasure that everybody's after. In any event, you're going to beat him, and then the bomb goes off. And so later, you're talking to him, and you say, you and I know I had you beat. And he's like, yeah, we know that, but look, I'm going to give you the location of this thing, and there's a really, really valuable thing there. And she's like, oh. So what you do is you pay people off to say that they lost to you so that you can maintain this aura. And he's like, talk to you later, Kay, and turns the thing off. And then you do end up helping him because he's working with the rebellion at this point, obviously. And, they're trying to figure out what they're going to do. So Lando's a great character because he pops up and, he's got the cape and he's walking around and he's, young. And I just wish they had a more Billy D. Williams-esque, like if they'd gotten Donald Glover to do the voice, it would have probably been better. It's fine. There are moments where, like, the guys laugh. He's got Lando's laughed out. It's awesome. But then there's other points where you're like, okay, this doesn't sound like Lando at all. But he shows up. And so eventually, this guy that you're working for, Jalen, is the guy who's running the whole crew. And there's a point where he's like, well, so you put together the Rhodian's the mechanic. The Chandrafan is the bomb maker. You got ND5 as the droid, who's basically like your enforcer. And then you have, you recruit one of the Rebel Alliance members as, I think he's comms. He's kind of coordinating things in the background. And then Jalen's like, well, we need another slicer. And sure enough, it's your mother. Because your mother's the only other slicer of the caliber that's available. So, there's going to be back and forth there. And, it's not anything you haven't seen before, but she's basically like, yeah, fuck you. And you get these flashbacks with her, and it's all done well enough, but that's probably the most conventional stuff where you're like, okay, yeah, I know what this is. And so you end up breaking into this place, and the guy shows up, and before you get into his actual residence, the place you tried to break in originally, you have to break into an Imperial outpost to get these codes to his shield generators or whatever. And so you get in, and you're in and there's this bounty hunter group that's pursuing you. And so you end up in the air ducts, and you hear him come into the room to take a meeting with somebody. And you kind of stop and you're just watching, and that's when he reveals that he's actually ISB. He's not just a criminal, and that this bounty hunting group is in fact his secret police. So they're not really bounty hunters, they're part of the Empire. And he's gathering all this intel to be able to blackmail everybody, including people in the Empire. He's trying to build such a source of knowledge that he essentially can do whatever he wants. And so he's waiting there, and the door opens up, and who the fuck should walk through but Darth Vader? And this is Darth Vader, max power.
Yeah, and that's
now.
So the question is,
here again, I had this moment where I went, "Uh-oh,
yeah,
are we now going to be fighting Darth Vader?" Which you never do. So Darth Vader is used twice, and both times very well, especially the second time. So the first time he walks in, and the guy is like, Kay doesn't know who he is, so she doesn't know she's heard of the Force, but not seen it. And this is still, remember, when the Force is relatively non-existent at this point in the whole history, right? It's only really Luke, Vader, and the Emperor, and Yoda, but nobody knows where Yoda is. So there's no Force around. So it's more of a myth. So there's a point where the guy pisses Vader off, and he puts his hand up, and they're in a room with all these glass cases, and he shatters all the glass, and it all just aims at the guy and hangs in the air. And Kay's like, what the fuck is this? And like, she has no idea what she's seeing. And Vader's like, man, oh man, you better not fail me, or this will not work for it. And he drops all the glass and he walks out. And so Kay then is completely rattled. Like, she's like ready to bail, because she says, all right, I don't know what that was, but I've never seen anything like it. And if this thing is involved, we're all going to die. Because again, Vader is unlike anything else at this point.
Yeah.
And even in the game, you've never seen anything like him at all. No one at his power level.
Yeah, especially at her level as well.
Right.
She's not. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So then she gets the codes. They break into the place, and there's a point where the guy comes in, and he walks in and reveals that, in fact, the guy Jalen is his brother, and that they were their oh my god, what was Corellians? They're Corellians, like Han Solo. So they had a mining business or something on Corellia, and the ISB guy, whose name I can't remember, the big bad guy, who except for Vader, the baddest guy in the thing except for Vader, it was basically jealous of the younger brother who was the heir to the fortune because whatever. And so he sold them all out to the Empire to be able to get his position to make the ISB. So he sold his family out for power. And the younger brother's been pissed ever since. And so this has all been a way for the younger brother to get his storehouse of information and sell him out to the Empire. Or kind of like double cross him to the Empire because he knows that his brother has Empire dirt too. So he, the younger brother, Jalen, contacts Vader and says, look, I will give you all of this so that you can have all this power and know all this to give it to the Emperor so the Emperor knows what's going on with all these, people that are kind of double dealing on him and everything. If you just kick my brother out and give me the ISB or the ISB secret police. And Vader's like, okay. So you get to a point where the older brother gets a call from Vader on a hologram. And the older brother said, and Vader's like, yeah, I decided to go with the other guy, so you're not part of the Empire anymore, and just winks off, and then the other brother just kills him. And it's great, because those are the only two times you see Vader at all. And both times they're great, because on the one hand, he's like, I could just kill you with all this glass, and then the other one, he's like, yeah, I don't give a fuck about you, you're dead. And he just, cuts the call off. And so then the end of it is you fight through all this stuff, and you get enough money that everybody can go their separate ways, and you kind of go off to do your own thing. And, so ND5, because he works for Jalen basically says, because he was telling everybody there was this multi-million credit deal. And so Kay realizes, well, wait a minute, if you're after this storehouse of information, then you're not going to pay us at all. And he's like, no, but, you can be part of my new crew and you can work for me. And she's like, I don't want to work for fucking Gestapo Empire troopers. He's like, all right, well, ND5, kill her. And so there's this whole thing where you're running away, and you decide you're going to take the restraining bolt off. And of course, at this point, I knew he wasn't going to kill her because, it would have been an interesting ending, but I knew that's not what was going to happen. And so you take the restraining bolt off, and he turns on Jalen, of course, and then he's basically your partner at the end. And so it's the two of you on the ship, and you go off to be able to do whatever you want. And then the credits start rolling, and then you get this cutscene sometime later, where, your mother had left you this video or this recording, and you realize that she probably did genuinely believe that if she kept you around, you'd get killed. So in her own stupid ass way, she was trying to protect you because she knew the Empire was kind of after her and there was a lot of bad things going on. So she sort of was acting out of Kay's best interest, but not in the best way to do it type of thing. She could have been a little bit more straightforward about it. So Kay's opinion of her softens just enough that when it says some months later, you see the mother's been caught by the Empire, and the door opens, and an Imperial officer comes in, and it's Kay dressed up as an officer who's like fake credentials, and she she basically says she leaves her this tool to be able to get out, and then walks out of the room, and that's all they do. That's really they don't have this big emotional hug or anything like that, but it's just enough that that she's like, okay, I don't want my mother to die in Imperial prison. We may not be buddies anytime soon, but I don't hate her the way I used to hate her. And then that's pretty much the ending. Is the very end is kind of the Star Trek 6 thing where ND5 is like, all right, what's next? Or where to next? And she says, wherever
Second
we want.
Second star to the right roll. And on till morning. Yeah.
Pretty much. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it was it felt like a very Star Wars story. Every bit of the credits are literally, I think, 20 minutes long. I think I timed it, and it's like 20 minutes long. And that makes sense because the sound is just... The music, it feels like Star Wars, but it's not copying John Williams. I actually have to get the soundtrack. It's very, very good. The sound effects, they must have had access to every Lucasfilm resource possible because the sound effects are just unbelievable. The graphics, the different worlds, there's Tatooine... Akiva, Toshana. I don't remember what the fourth world is. I think there's 4 main worlds and a couple of space stations. They're all very different. Like one is kind of a rainforest planet. There's an ice planet, which is Akiva. There's Tatooine, which of course is the desert planet. And then there is Toshana is like the lightly tropical zone. And that's your 4 main worlds. And then even the way you do the hyperdrive, when you spool it up, it comes up and the thing turns green, and it literally has the text "punch it," and then you hit the sticks, and she says "punch it," and the whole thing goes crazy. It's fucking great.
I love the noise.
Space battles.
I love the noise of hyperspace.
Oh yeah, no, the sound effects are just incredible.
I mean, listen, I would have loved if I was really hoping that there was going to be a co-op version of this game, but they never did.
Oh man, it would have been incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that's one of the things is when it came out, it got okay reviews, but
I know my balls.
It's just stupid.
I was going to say, people get butthurt when it's not their kind of perfect.
Oh,
I know.
My God, it's so fucking stupid. Plus, there's a point where I put on, like, she's wearing the Crimson Dawn outfit, and she looks fucking fantastic. It's all black and gold. It's like Deus Ex colors. It's fucking great. There's all this. You can play it stealth. You can go in blasting. And then there is this little portion of it that is tied into almost Phantom Menace, where you go into this place where all the battle droids were fighting a battle, and like you find one and it's all fucked up. It's almost like a PTSD thing through droids, outside of ND5, who also has that. But this droid is kind of like stuck in this subroutine, and he's just trying to report in, and you basically do the whole, yes, your mission's complete, you can rest down, and then he deactivates. But there's all these droids, and they're all fucking dead. You're talking to ND5 about the war, and he's talking about how there's no such thing as a virtuous war, and he's like, killing anybody is a murder and a crime. It's like all this crazy political shit through ND5's kind of droid interface, and it's being done while you're in this really deep dungeon with red lights, and it's creepy, and there's all these noises and shit, and he's talking about the war and death and destruction and all this shit, and it's really well done. There's all this nice little stuff that's very environmental storytelling, where again, I'm sitting here going, how did this game not do better? I just don't understand it. They're not going to ever make another one. Disappointing sales, whatever, because Ubisoft fucking sucks. So they're not going to make another one, which honestly is fine. It doesn't end on a cliffhanger. It has an ending, so at least it doesn't do that sequel bait like the second fucking Deus Ex Mankind Divided game did, where they didn't end it, and now there'll never be a third game, or I'll probably be dead by the time it's out. So this one at least has an ending. And again, they're even doing the kind of the wipes for the transitions, like the film wipes, like you're used to. And it's just great. And like Jabba's voice actor is okay. Bib Fortuna looks awesome. I've always liked Bib Fortuna. He's great. And he's like contacting you on the side. He's like, hey, do you want to do this thing? Shit like that. You go into the Mos Eisley Cantina, but it's completely different because you can see all of it. So it doesn't feel like the movie. There's none of the same characters are there. But Mos Eisley feels like a dirty kind of scum, alien, rundown crime area, which is what it should be. You can pet the dewbacks. You can pet the banthas. You never run into sand people, but you do go to areas and you'll hear them. You do trade with Jawas, which is great. You go out to one of their sand crawlers. You go into one that got blown up, and you get to see the inside of it and all the shit. Like there's a gonk droid in there. There's all these variations on the astromech droids and the protocol droids. Like there's one really cool color variation of an R2 type droid where I was like, whoa, if they made a figure of that, I'd fucking buy it. That is a great color scheme. At one point you get into Stormtrooper armor and you're talking about how it's very uncomfortable and you're kind of faking things and you're moving around. It's great. It's a very, very well done game. It's just the most Star Wars thing since the original movies. Like, they got it all right. They got it all right.
Except they hated it. It didn't sell.
Except it was a woman, and women clearly can't do anything except cook and make babies. And what do you want me to tell you? I'm sorry.
Really they were upset that it was a female lead?
I mean, there's no other explanation for... the critical reviews were fine,
I think that Star Wars at this point has gotten too big. It's dying under its own weight. You can't do anything because there's so many different opinions as to what's right that it basically strangles itself when it attempts to create anything new.
Yeah, it feels that way.
Yeah.
But I would tell anybody, if you've never played this and you feel like modern Star Wars just doesn't feel like... If you're our age and you remember the old Star Wars and you want that feeling back... This game is that. It's purely that. it's sort of astonishing to me that Stalker 2 managed to recapture what the original Stalker did when I reviewed that one. I loved it. And this recaptured Star Wars for me. This got me more interested in going back and watching the original 3 movies than I have been in a while. And I always liked the original 3 movies, but I just had, there's so much of that feeling in this that it's really astonishing. So I would highly recommend it. It's filled with interesting characters. It's expertly crafted. The space battle stuff is actually really good too, which I wasn't sure. But when you're fighting TIE fighters, you hear them roaring by and they're firing and it's all the same sound effects. That's the other thing too. Is in a lot of other games, you feel like they're trying to do the Star Wars stuff, but they don't have the access to it. This has access to everything. So it's all there. Like when the Rancor roars, it's the exact sound files from the movie. You can hear it. It's the same shit.
Well,
and it's like when you're firing blasters.
It's the exact same Rancor, though, isn't it?
It is. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Luke hasn't killed it yet.
Thing. No. And that's another thing. I was happy that there was no mention. Like, Lando alludes to knowing some people, but he never names names. Yeah. You never see Leia, either chained up or as the Bouche character. You never see her.
So, apparently, there's a trailer that came out that looks like they're going to do a Mandalorian series, but do it in Lego. Like, you know how they do, like, the silly Lego versions of Star Wars things? They just did that one where it was, yeah. But if you get a chance, watch that trailer, because there's a few very funny digs in that Lego trailer about the show, where they show the sequence where Luke Skywalker shows up on the ship, and the Mandalorians look at each other and go, excuse me, are we supposed to know who you are? And it's like, yeah, we know who he is, but you wouldn't fucking know who he is.
And see, that's one of the things that I actually like about them using Lando, is Lando is known in the criminal underworld at this point.
Oh, yeah, of course he is, yeah.
So his inclusion makes complete sense. Everybody knows who Lando Calrissian is.
Well, listen,
it's great.
If it wasn't Lando, it would have been Han Solo. Why? Because he's a fucking criminal.
Yeah.
That's the point, you know?
But he's busy being in carbonite, so...
He's on ice, yeah. Which is good. It's good that he's on ice. You can't use him. Yeah.
Nope.
Because Harrison Ford
and I think that's all there is from the original stuff. Outside of, like I said, you see the A-Wings, which I love.
You know,
there's some X-Wings show up, you know.
I've seen some screen grabs. It looks like a beautiful game. And,
it is gorgeous. It's the background of my PlayStation. I took a bunch of screenshots, and that's what I'm using as my backgrounds.
There you go.
It's very well done.
Yeah, and listen, I can talk a lot of shit about Ubisoft as a company, but listen, we're playing Wildlands again, and we fucking love it.
Yeah.
So, they have the ability to make these kind of big openish world games.
Yeah.
So, what was that? Do you remember that game that got canceled when I think it was when they sold Star Wars to Disney, where it was like
there was going to be a Boba Fett game.
Wasn't there like a prison? No, it was like a prison mission one. What was it? It was like level 666
there have been a couple of canceled ones.
Something.
Oh yeah, Order 60. That's the Boba Fett game.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a Boba Fett game. I don't remember. There's a number in it. It's like 77 or something. Yeah, I don't remember what it's called.
Yeah. And then the whole thing got canceled. Yeah.
Well, honestly, playing this, okay, I'll tell you now. I don't think there's. I've heard nothing that this is whatever, but I would love a remastered Shadows of the Empire. I'd play that in a heartbeat. If they did that like they did with Resident Evil 2, but did Shadows of the Empire, that game was a huge hit. People would eat that shit up.
You know what I had a lot of fun.
And you wouldn't have to change a thing.
I had a lot of fun playing Force Unleashed. I know that it's more of an action game than it was a good storyline, but I really enjoyed Force Unleashed because...
Well, they just did a new pod racer game, which apparently is very good, but I don't like racers, so I'm not going to bother.
Yeah.
Galactic Racer. Apparently it's very good. I'm sure it is. I'm never going to play it.
Well, honestly, I if I had time, I would probably play this game. It's a shame it's not co-op. I would play it with you. It sounds awesome. It sounds like it's good looking and has the right amount of sentimentality.
If your son played more video games like this, I would say have him play it. You could just watch because it's just great.
I don't watch people play video games.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, come on. Yeah,
I know.
That to me feels like like you've got more time than you know what to do with.
Except for the Odyssey game. It's the only game you've ever watched me play.
Did I watch you play Odyssey? I didn't watch you play Odyssey.
Remember the Odyssey game where the monkey guy was jumping around on all the ships? Yeah, because that was a single player.
I did watch you play that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, but that was different. I wasn't watching videos of you play that. I was sitting
that's
on
why
the
I'm saying
couch.
if your son was playing it, you would be with him playing it.
Yeah, I was on the couch with you. Yeah, I watched you play what was the other one with Solid Snake with Raiden with the sword in his teeth.
4?
Yeah. I was on the couch for that. It was a cinematic experience. It was fun.
That was. Yeah.
So, but no, I don't.
A game that has 8 hours of cutscenes and 9 hours of gameplay when you boil it down.
Oh my god, it's a great movie. I mean,
it really is.
He is a
well,
nutter.
Like I said, the whole movie is online. You can watch Metal Gear Solid the movie for 20 hours or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's big. Yeah,
it's a very large movie. But yes, because it also kind of vanished when it came out. It just disappeared. I don't know if there was something else. Maybe it was Red Dead Redemption 2. I don't remember what, but I remember it just vanished. So if you have PlayStation, it's included. And if you never played it and you're sick of modern Star Wars and you want something that feels like the old stuff, it's very good. I'm not kidding when I say I would play this entire game again before I'd ever watch those 6 movies. Because it feels more like it. So I had a blast with it. I thought it was great. Yeah. Which is nice because I don't say that about a lot of games anymore. Not really.
It's nice not to be let down.
Yeah. It's nice to be reminded of that old Star Wars feeling that it can still work.
Yeah.
It still works when it's done correctly. So.
Fantastic.
And having said that.
200 hours later.
That's totally your fault.
Oh, it is. I agree. I'm not contesting.
Well, then, you know what? Shit. I guess we're. Oh man, where does our show go? Does that go after or before the music?
It's not a movie, so let's do it before, because it doesn't matter, but since you did your other show review before, we'll do the show and then we'll do the movies.
So we should talk about it here then, because...
I do I have a sound effect of a TV? I might not. Too bad. I know I do have a TV sound effect, but I don't have it queued up, sorry. So
yeah, that's it, yeah.
You know.
I'll let you pave the way for this.
When did I know I reviewed this. How long ago was that? It was during the pandemic. I think it was 2020, I feel like, is the last time I watched this. Because I watched it with my wife at the time. Yeah, so 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Now. My wife and I watched this Netflix series, this German series titled Dark. It's 3 seasons. I believe it's 10... Is it 10, 8, and 8? Yeah, I think it's 10, 8, and 8. So I believe it's 28 episodes total. Single, whatever series, no plans for a follow-up, no nothing. This is a complete arc, done like Devs. Begin, end, done. And I reviewed it at the time, and I'm sure I gushed about it because I remember being blown away by it. And I always was planning to rewatch it again. And I thought, you know what? I figured you would like this because there's a lot of time travel involved. And now that I knew the story of it, I was watching it a little bit differently because, I knew I remembered the foundational things. I mean, I remembered every detail, but I remembered where everybody was going to end up and what the ending was. So I knew what was going on. And so now I was looking at it more as like, okay, how is the show architected? Does each season have a different kind of theme to it, which I think it absolutely does. Each season has a very different kind of goal to it or feeling to it. But essentially, to try to sum it up as simply as possible, it's about this young kid who is a teenager in a small town in Germany who has a father who kills himself and goes away for a bit and comes back. And very quickly after his return, things start to get weird. Strange people show up, and before very long, it becomes clear that there are some time travel issues that different parties are trying to resolve. And I don't know how more I could sum it up than that. And so that's the series idea.
That's a good way to start the chainsaw. Yeah.
Yeah.
Without,
and that's the kickoff point.
Yeah. Honestly, the once you have that, what you realize then is it's about it's about time being stuck in a loop into two alternate dimensions, and that apparently time cannot continue until the situation between these two dimensions that caused them is dealt with. But getting there takes 3 seasons.
Yes. 3 seasons of what you could only describe as a very German science fiction version of Romeo and Juliet.
Oh my God, man. So, I really liked this show. But the first season is a hard watch. And I don't mean hard because it's like bad. It's fucking amazing all the way through. It's all good. The actors are good. The music is good. This is an exceptionally well done show, right? But the first season, as a parent, is hard. Because the second 2 seasons get more into the science fiction and like everything's gone haywire at this point. So it's easier to kind of take a step back and be like, time travel is bad for your health. But in the first season, it starts with the loss of a child. And the way they play it is very realistic, and the way that people are falling apart. And it is the backdrop of the first season is this child. And the thing is, you know where the child is, which is that he's gone back in time, and he can't find a way forward. So, like, this show raises a lot of fucked up questions about what a person should or could do. In fact, I'm pretty sure you and I often were sitting there going, what the hell do you do if you're like 12 and you get stuck in the past? I was like, who the fuck do you talk to? It's like, where do you go to for assistance? Anyway, so the first season is hard. There's a lot of dead kids, and I think for me, I unfortunately thought that this was one of those shows where the character of Jonas is the lead of the show, right? But you don't realize that right away because different characters get different screen time. You know, there's lots of different episodes, right? So in the early seasons, I don't know why, but I thought Ulrich, who is the father of the boy that disappears, I thought that he was one of the protagonists. And I identified with him because he was a father who was trying to get his kid back. Now, the problem is that Ulrich is not a subtle man. He is a fucking battering... He's a wrecking ball. Much like his wife, I might add. The two of them are wrecking balls. And throughout the show, it's sad what happens. It's sad what happens to them. Neither of them kind of meets a good end. And that's the thing, is that once I took a step back from Ulrich being the main character of the show and realized that it was very focused on Jonas. Not Jonas as an individual. That's the other thing. You have to accept the idea of Jonas. Because there are some interesting left turns the show takes at you. God, you know what? I was just thinking about this. Dark is actually a good parallel to Jackal because...
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, because
Jonas... In terms of who's the protagonist.
Yeah, because Jonas becomes the evil that he is dealing with.
I was going to say, Adam and Eva are basically the Jackal and... Yeah.
Yeah, and Eva becomes the problem that and they both have to deal with. So yeah, actually, that is interesting. Except they take it to like a whole other level. I mean, in Dark, yeah, you're dealing with this. What do they call it? What is it in Star Trek? The 3-dimensional chess? Is that what it is?
Yeah, tri-dimensional chess. Yeah,
tri-dimensional. Yeah. So basically, Dark is tri-dimensional chess.
Literal 3-dimensional chess. Well, that's the thing. So the first season is really about loss. The first season is just the idea of loss of a child. It's just saturated with it, right? And then it introduces this time travel element, but the overriding thing is Mikkel being lost, and then ending up being Jonas's father, who he lost himself.
Yeah, but then after season 1, though, you start to realize that everyone's got parents from all over the fucking place.
Well, okay, so then
Everyone's
season
a fucking
2,
paradox. Yeah.
Season 2 is all about establishing all these different characters and how they're moving throughout everything that's going on. That season 2 is really about establishing who's doing what, and you see a lot of multiple versions of multiple characters as they're moving around, and they start to establish. Or what you think they're establishing is that Jonas is in fact. So when you said there's 3 versions of Jonas. There's young Jonas, who's the protagonist in the end, kind of with Martha, but it's really about Jonas. There's middle Jonas.
Apocalypse Jonas is what we call
Apocalypse
him.
Jonas.
Yeah.
And then there's Adam, who is Jonas.
Old Jonas.
After old, scarred, bitter, ready to just destroy everything, end of the world, nihilist. Jonas. And then the third season is taking all this stuff that we thought we understood and inverting a lot of it, and taking people that you thought were purely evil, and it's like, oh no, maybe not.
Oh my god!
And then taking people,
No, I will say this for the third season: the character arc of the Noah character is so well written, because in the first season you're like, fuck this guy, and then in the third season you're like, oh my god, I feel so bad for Noah. I'm like, oh my god, and it's like, holy shit. I mean, when I say I want good writing, this is the kind of writing that I'm looking for. Even though early on it's like fucking painful, but it's so good. And my only issue with this show is not even an issue with the show. It's that sometimes people are so fucking stupid. And I think you had to keep saying to me, well, it's not like these people are sci-fi geeks or something. They don't know necessarily what to do. You don't
and not everyone is stupid.
No,
but
not
some
at
people
all.
make decisions where you sit there and go, why are you doing that? And then you think, well, if you are mad out of your mind because your kid's missing, you won't be thinking about what you're doing. You're just going to be trying to figure out where the kid is. Like Ulrich at times does things, and you're like, oh my God, what are you doing?
What are you doing, man? Oh God. Yeah, Ulrich.
I mean, the part where he beats that kid with the rock.
That is okay. That is the hardest part of the show for me. Because
but it's also one of the best because of his struggle in his face. That actor, when you see him convincing himself to beat this kid to death with a rock.
Everyone in this show is good. Even the people in the first season, you're like, this guy's an extra. By the end of the show, they will have done some shit, and you'll be like, wow, that guy's really good. No, so you know what I'm saying? In the Jackal, how there's this moral line, and they try never to cross it. So even though he kills like the old couple, it's like, well, they kind of forced him to do it, and you're never really sure if he was gonna do it. Whereas in Dark, you have characters like, for me, I knew that Ulrich was fucked because he crossed this line. He was so trying to save his son that he tried to beat a child to death. And you're like, whoa, you're like, that is some serious parenting right there. But you're like, and you're like, dude, but hold on, but you never even thought that there was like 10 other things you could have done. Like,
I agree, but we should point out Ulrich is a cop.
Yeah.
So that's one thing to consider. And the other is, one of the things about it is like you and I, if we were stuck in this situation, we would go, okay, wait a minute. Is there determinism in here? Is there even a point in doing this?
Yeah, and that's the
ordinary characters
part of
will not.
And this is the thing. This is the other part of the show. This show made me realize that I have an alternate vision of time than the show does. Right? So I no longer believe in paradox. I believe in conceptual paradox, but I don't believe in the possibility of unmaking yourself. I believe that time and existence are infinite. I believe that possibility is infinite. I believe that there's always a dimension out there where something has occurred that didn't occur in this one, moment to moment, right? I think that existence is infinite, all times and all directions. And because of that, your future, to me, is always your future. No matter what happens, your past is always your past. And your future is always your future. And your present is always your present. So if you go back in time and you kill your grandfather and fuck your grandmother, right? You haven't unmade yourself. Because in your timeline that you come from, the place that you originate from, that timeline exists. Now, when you go back to the future, you're going to a different future that you have created. It is not your future. You are moving to a new future. And you can still occupy it, but you will have no connection to it. So, and this is important because it's my alternate vision of this reality is going to be why the ending doesn't completely work for me. So if you then go to back to the future, you're going to the future and find out that, your parents never existed, that your timeline has been destroyed because you killed your grandfather, but you as a rogue individual, a paradoxical presence, will still be there because you are functioning on a timeline that still makes sense from your starting point. You are not part of that timeline anymore. You have destroyed your timeline, but I feel that you have the ability to then travel across different timelines. That is not the philosophy of this show. This show basically accepts the fact that, that essentially there is a level of it's going to happen because this is how it happened. And whatever you think, if it happened this way, it's going to happen again this way. And sometimes the very act of trying to make it not happen is what makes it happen in the first place. This show is like a really tight clock, and everything kind of just keeps ticking by perfectly. And there are very few moments when things can actually change, which is what the characters discover, right?
There's literally one moment.
Yes, there's one,
and that's it.
Key moment. Yeah.
Yes.
But what then happens for me is, so at the end of the show, Jonas and Marta, they keep calling her Marta. It's not Eve.
Marta,
Eve is when she gets older. Yeah, Marta.
Yeah. Yep.
So you got Marta from an alternate dimension, and then you got Jonas from what we think is the core dimension, right? The one that we've been with the most, right? And Jonas couldn't be with Marta in his own dimension because he found out that she was technically his aunt.
Right.
And he had a really hard time with that because her younger brother went back in time and became his father. Fucked up family. But the alternate timeline, that never happened, and that Marta exists, but is not related to him. So it's okay to be with her. So they go back in time and they stop the moment that would have caused time travel to exist. So the man who created time travel, who did it because he lost his son and daughter-in-law, and his grandchild, right? He doesn't lose them in this version, right?
Right.
Now, I thought what was going to happen is that when they lost, when basically time was corrected, I was hoping that Jonas and Marta would then get to stay as essentially rogue presences. That they didn't have, there was no original point for them. They were just there, and that they would get to be together and just live happily ever after. Because, you know what? I fucking like happy endings sometimes. That is, of course, not what happened. They went with the more classical paradox, which is that you destroyed your reason to exist, therefore you can't exist. And they kind of dissipate into sparkly matter, and I think it's a heartbreaking line where she's like, "What becomes of us?" And he says, "Well, I guess we'll become like a dream." Right? It's pain. And I mean, Jonas, you feel so fucking bad for this guy through the whole show because I think you said at one point, you're like, he never did anything to deserve any of this.
No.
So it's grim. It's grim, and the tagline should be that fucking time travel sucks, right? But again, the ending is the only part I have an issue with, and it's only because I have an alternate philosophy. But within the personal philosophy of the show, which is consistent, yes, they are a paradox, and when they fix the timeline...
If you take what's written on the page...
They fix the timeline, and they can't exist, therefore they don't. And honestly, one of the most, shocking moments for me is at the end of the show when you realize what characters from the large, roster of people actually exist in the original timeline, because a lot of these people only existed because of people traveling through time and
it's
having
basically
kids.
6 people.
It's 6
There's
people,
6
right?
people
And
left.
not even main people. I think there's only 3 main people, and then there's the transvestite or the trans woman. I don't know. I didn't really know what she was going for, but she's there.
I'm not sure, but yeah.
Right, and then there's the guy who kept having either an eye wound or an arm wound. Who was a secondary? It was just
the show will never explain. Not even when you think they're about to.
Right.
Nope, never gonna happen.
And then who's the other? And then
it's Hannah. What's
your lady, Ulrich's wife?
Yeah, what is her name? Katerina.
Yeah, Ulrich doesn't exist.
And Regina and
Regina's there. Yeah,
the husband. Yeah, Regina's there.
And here's the thing,
Peter.
There's
Peter's
a moment in this ending which I realize very much is a telling moment for who you are as a viewer, right? So you get to the end of the show, and you find out there's only these 6 people, and these are the people that actually exist. They have no memory of any of this shit because this is their timeline. This is the way it's always been, right? And the Hannah character gives a big speech about darkness and death and lots of stuff.
And by the way, just because I don't think we pointed this out, Hannah is Jonas's mom.
Is Jonas's mother? Yeah. And Hannah is a fucking crazy character that through the course of the show you're like, holy shit, what the fuck are you doing?
Both versions have their edge, but the Prime version is a fucking psycho.
Right. So anyway, so you get to the end of the show, and Hannah's there, and she gives this big speech, and then someone says to her, what are you going to name the baby? Right. Now here's the thing, right? She turns and says, "Oh well, I was thinking of the name Jonas." Right. Now, if you look at that and think, oh, it's because in some weird way, she remembers Jonas. Jonas isn't really gone. Then you are an overly positive person, but you're not actually paying attention to what's going on. Because here's the thing. She liked the name Jonas. She liked the name Jonas in the other version of her. Hannah just likes the name. The child she's having is with somebody else. It's with the guy with the eye wound, right? It will not share 50% of its genetics. It will not, with what's his father's name?
His father's name is Mikkel, or Michael.
It was Mikkel.
Mikkel was the kid, Michael was the father. So.
Yeah. So this Jonas, if he is named Jonas, will be nothing like the Jonas that you've spent most of the show with. So, it's, to me, it wasn't even like it was a cold comfort. It felt like a last minute fuck you from Hannah. He's like, oh, maybe I'll name him Jonas. And you're like, yeah, fuck you. It's not our Jonas, though. Our Jonas is gone.
Okay. Well, all right. So I will say I have a slightly different version of both of the things you're talking about. On the biological side, I completely agree. This is not going to look like Jonas be Jonas. It is not Jonas. Jonas is gone.
Yeah.
However, I don't think it's an accident, because it was written this way, that the last line Jonas says is, maybe we'll just be a dream.
Yeah.
Then the woman who was his mother in 2 versions had a dream, looks at a yellow coat that he wore through the whole show, has a strange look on her face, and says, Jonas. Now, I'm not saying that means he's reincarnated, but I do think it is this concept of nothing is ever lost. It becomes part of something else. It becomes something else. There is some...
Yeah, and here's the thing. I can understand what you're saying, because there is a weird thing where when Jonas and we'll call her Marta B, because Marta A is dead. He meets the secondary Marta. They talk about how there's like a weird feeling between them. They've never met. Jonas doesn't exist in her universe. She is the Jonas of her universe. And yet there's a weird sort of connection between them. So I'm like, okay. The problem is they mess with a little bit of magic, but they don't want to go all in. So you're kind of sitting there going, okay, well, how much of this, how much sentimentality are we allowed in this very German fucking rough show?
I think it's just that much. I think it is literally supposed to just be that you realize that and I'll just tell you how my view of it is.
Okay.
Because again, I completely agree with you that I don't think that her kid is going to be Jonas. It is not at all going to be in any way, no memory, no nothing. Yeah. It is a completely different person. There is no soul of Jonas that transfers. None of that. What I choose to take from it is Jonas, Prime Jonas, Yellow Jacket Jonas. Throughout this series, we both agreed this actor was spectacular.
Oh my God, he is
unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if
you have any appreciation for an actor or anything, you have to watch this just for fucking him.
There's a sequence in this show where Jonas is talking to Marta, and she's got a whole bunch of lines, and he says nothing, and yet he does more in that scene than she does. He does volumes of shit because you watch it all go across his face, and you're just like, oh my God, someone give this kid a hug. Like, that actor was so good.
Yes. So what I feel like is because you end up, it's like I said, as I told you, like this is the one Marta too, but Jonas is the victim of all of this, and he carries this weight. And not only is he a victim who did nothing and has all this put on top of him, but every major architect of things keeps using him. And there's a part where he's like, you know what? I am sick of being told what I have to do. You're all lying to me. It's just getting worse and worse. Nothing I'm doing is fixing anything. And you just realize that most people would have, and he does eventually try to kill himself. I mean, there's a point where he does, and then young Noah comes in and goes, yeah, you can't, which is, the thing you don't really like. But there's a point where he's like, fuck it.
Well, yeah.
Why? Why?
It's the inevitability. It's the clock.
Yes.
It's the you always lived. Therefore, guess what? You always live.
And that's worse because he's not even allowed an escape from this thing.
Yeah.
So I feel like what the show is doing at the very end is giving you this small thread of this was not for nothing. Some element of Jonas's sacrifice and what he went through will survive if it is only in a name. And that's enough. Because otherwise, it is so profoundly sad when you hit that ending that if they didn't do anything, I feel like that is just too bleak. For me, I feel like you need that little tiny spider thin thread of, okay, this one thing of Jonas survives, even if it is just a name, that is enough. It was not that he just disappeared and never existed, yet his suffering was real. That is the worst possible scenario. I'm not saying it's not accurate. I'm just saying, as a viewer who wants something out of this show, which has so much grief and misery and suffering.
Please, have something good happen.
Yeah, he's the one character who you're like, please give him some
And let me tell you, the people who do survive at the end, you get to that table at the end, and like I personally was sitting there, and like other than Katerina, who she was the grieving mom, she was like trying to find her kids. I don't have an issue with her. I do have an issue with
no issues with her.
There's the thing with her mom where it's like,
well, her mom's a fucking bitch.
I know, and you come to understand that that's the reason where that comes from.
Yeah, and Katerina's death is also awful.
But beyond that, everybody else who survives at the end, you're like, oh, fuck this. Oh, fuck you. I was like, really? I was like, this is the surviving cast of this show? You're like, fuck you.
Okay, you and I disagree on this. Like, Hannah, yes. Hannah's...
No, because the, what do you call it? Okay, what I mean by that is that none of them, other than was it the dad who gets stabbed, the father
Peter.
of the deaf girl, Peter.
Yeah, Peter.
Other than Peter, who I genuinely like, I guess it's him and Katarina, but like Hannah, you're like, oh fuck Hannah, and then the guy with one eye is a throwaway character. You don't give a shit about him. The transvestite character or trans woman, I'm not sure, disappears after the first season. And then the other girl who she's
Regina is kind of the reason a lot of things happen. So she is important.
I know that, but it's like in the first season she's there, and then otherwise she kind of just dies of cancer. And
yeah, but she's the reason that Claudia does everything she does.
Happen because of her.
Yeah,
in fact,
but she's a very similar character to Jonas in that you find out she was bullied.
Oh yeah,
because they thought she did something she didn't. Then she gets cancer, and then her mom was a bitch to her, and then comes back and is like, and then the shit with the grandfather, like all this stuff is around her. So I'm fine with her because,
but she's not the only person that's had a lot of awful shit happen to.
No, but she's probably really second to Jonas in terms of things.
But actually, here's another question for you though that I guess the show never answers, right?
Yeah.
Noah exists in this universe. He must. Because Noah... Yeah, because Noah... Oh, wait, no. Hold on. Jeez, fuck. Who was Noah's parents?
Maybe no, you're right. No, he doesn't. No, you're right. He does not. Noah does not exist.
So Noah doesn't exist either. Because I was thinking Noah exists in the past. But he doesn't because he's fucking product of time travel as well.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, it's just...
Yeah.
You got to pay attention. You got to keep track of who's who. And
it's tricky.
The show has an internal logic. The internal logic makes sense. It maintains its own rules all the way through. I respect that. I don't agree with its rules, but it maintains its rules. It's impeccably written. The acting is fantastic. Nobody is phoning it in. It is a lovely tale about the fact that time travel can suck.
Yes.
And maybe, you know what? And honestly, what was funny is after watching the show, I thought to myself, this is a really good reason for why time travel may not exist. Because every time it gets discovered, it destroys itself in the timeline.
Yeah.
And so, we're constantly on the refitted timeline where time travel can't happen.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
No, excellent show, man. I loved it. I loved it. Yeah. It was heavy in the first season, but once the really sci-fi stuff kicks up, it kind of softens the blow of that because it just gets so weird and complicated.
Until it gets to the end, you're like, oh my God, Jonas is going to die.
No, I mean, listen, if you think Jonas is going to come out like happy at the end, there's no way.
And that's the other side of it is there's no way that they could have lived because they would have been so destroyed. Both of them.
No. I know. Well, okay. Listen, I disagree. I think.
How would they exist in a world where like his mother existed as his mother?
Hold on. It would have been an apropos ending if they survived, but they had lost everything that made them. They would be there together, but it's the whole. You can't just have a happy ending, right? So the non-happy ending would be the fact that they survived, the two of them, but they've lost everything, and now they have to deal with that grief, right? That's how you have the nice, horrible German ending, but still have a kind of happy ending, right? But you are correct. The two of them would be so fuck off traumatized. I mean, Jesus Christ. By the time our Jonas gets to the end of this, he's well on his way to becoming Apocalypse Jonas. Because the thing is that you know what becomes of him. You know how fucked he gets. And you see the old version of him, which is like a Bond villain. Like the level of just damage that he's got, physical and mental. So, no, you are correct. This is that Cory Doctorow situation in a book of his where you're like, how the hell can these characters have a happy ending without just rewinding them back to the beginning? And that's the thing is, the Jonas and Marta can't exist at the end because there's no. If they had survived, no, you were correct. They wouldn't have been happy. They would have been destroyed. I was just hoping that there was still some way. And that's the romantic in me. But, it's a German show, and it makes sense. But I also,
And that's
like
why
I said...
I have to grasp on the name being the last part that's left of him, because that's the romantic part of me. Like, I understand it's not Jonas.
Oh, yeah.
He's not going to come out.
So
but I have to have that one glimmer of speck of him left.
Is that you got more of a romantic ending than me. My romantic ending was quashed when they disappeared. And I was like, no, it's all fucked. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Time can go on. No one will remember the sacrifice. And here's the thing. I think that's the nature of these kinds of events, though. Like I said, I mean, it's a joking idea, like saying, oh, well, we live on the timeline where everything works. But here's the thing. If you had things like this, you would never know. There would be great millennial struggles to get the timeline back online, and millions of people could die. And then once it's fixed, you wouldn't know, because everything just worked.
Yeah.
We're the people that get to live on the timeline that just works.
Yeah.
And sometimes, you know what? Sometimes I wonder if dreams aren't our brains trying to, come to terms with misalignments of the timeline.
Sure.
Sure. Oh, man.
Yeah. Who knows?
I should... Oh, man. We're going to review a movie. And I want to talk about a dream that I had after I watched the movie. But we're talking about dreams now, so it's almost...
Yeah.
I almost want to mention it. I'll mention the dream.
You'll remember it when we talk about the
movie.
movie.
I know that, but it's very easy. It'll be very easy for us to forget about it, because that movie is a whole other conversation. But the movie that we watched that we're reviewing tonight, that I had a strange reaction to. And it was a very actiony movie, and I had this dream that I was fighting people. I was in some kind of battle situation, and in the dream, they had grown skin armor from my DNA, and I was wearing a suit of essentially samurai armor, like that kind of like bamboo plating, but it was all made from living thick layers of my own skin that were sewn to my body. And I think the sewing is what was keeping it alive. It was almost like that was like the stitching itself was like the veins and capillaries that was supplying the armor with blood to be alive. It was a very weird dream, but I was wearing a suit of skin armor, and I was so hot. And in the dream, it went all the way up to like my neck, and I kept pulling the armor down so that I could like expose my neck to the air, because I was wearing like 4 to 5 extra layers of skin, and this skin was like, like every layer of skin was like a ½ inch to an inch thick, because it was armor, right? I mean, I gotta tell you, it was fucking psychotic to look at too, because it was alive. So I had this like twitching, throbbing, samurai flesh-colored armor all over my body. So weird. And when I woke up, I reached up to my neck to try and pull the armor down because I was so hot, and then I realized there was nothing there. And I was like, oh my God, it was just a dream. And I was so relieved. It wasn't a bad dream. It wasn't a nightmare. It was just that in the dream, all this stuff was going on, and I was kicking the shit out of people. But I kept thinking to myself, God, I'm so hot. This armor is so hot. And honestly, I'm in the dream. I was looking for like a bucket, I was looking for like a pool or something that I could just dunk myself in, because I was so hot, and it was just endless because I was layered in all this skin armor. Weirdness. Anyway, weird dreams, and sometimes I wonder if they aren't alternate dimensions. Correction of the timeline. Who the fuck knows?
Sure.
But I did love Dark. I love Dark. I wouldn't tell anyone to watch it because it is fucking heavy. You have to be interested in a well-written, thought-provoking, demanding show. You cannot second screen this. You won't know what the fuck you're watching. This is a front and center, eyes focused, make a list of who's who. So, yeah. Dark.
Yep. I mean, I know I reviewed it very well when I reviewed it originally, and it holds up. It is stellar. Great music, beautifully shot, great acting, excellent casting in terms of getting people who look like different ages of each other.
Oh, that.
I mean, they cast people on the right elements of their face. They knew what were the significant parts of the face they needed to match, and they matched them. It's great. So
That is got to be one of the more fascinating things that they did in this, which is the way they did that, where they got the oh my god, they would figure out what the features were that they had to nail.
Magnus was probably the best one. They got Magnus. They got a kid and an adult who had the same eyes.
Yeah, and they weren't related, but you'd get to this point in the show where somebody would walk in the room that you hadn't seen before, and you'd be like, "Oh my god, is that this person?" And then and it would be because they yeah, that was super cool.
Yep. Yep.
Well, yeah, I mean, what was that? How many episodes is that? He said it was
28. 10 in the first season, 8
Yeah.
and 8 for 2 and 3. Yep.
Yeah, no,
so 28 episodes.
Listen, it does not feel like something Netflix did. I'll tell you that.
No, and that's because they acquired it. This was an idea of a German production, and Netflix funded it, and it feels every bit of that.
It does. Yeah.
Again, this is a different era of Netflix when they were doing stuff like this. Do I think they would take a chance on 3 seasons of this now? Probably not. But I'm glad they did it when they did it because it was great, and it was. I mean, I wish they would put it out on physical, but
Oh, they haven't at all, huh?
nope. So, as I always say, as many other people say, if you can't own something, there's no such thing as piracy. So go get it however you got to, everybody. There are very good copies of it around.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I suppose you're right. I mean, but if you have Netflix, you can watch it there.
Yes, for now. Who knows? They could Willow it. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, didn't Willow crop up? Didn't that come up?
Well,
somewhere?
if it came back, it had disappeared for a long time. I don't know if you can watch it right now.
Yeah.
Let's see. Hold on. I'm curious because it disappeared for a long time.
It did.
Let's see. Does it say you can watch it? Well, there's the nope, just the movie, as far as I can tell.
Son of a bitch.
Yep.
That's annoying.
Let's see. Where to watch? Nowhere. Yeah.
Where are you watching
It's just
me?
empty.
Nowhere.
Yeah. Yep. All seasons. Let's take a look. Anywhere? Huh? Anywhere. I think you can buy it, maybe. Can you even buy it? I don't even think you can do it. I don't think you can buy it. No, because it's on Disney. So no, I don't think you can watch it at all. Yeah. So Dark is on there now, but who knows if that deal expires anytime. You never know. Like I said, it's out there. You can find it. And on that note,
Just give me the essence of the thing, the juice, you know.
You shut the fuck up!
Thanks for killing my mom.
Yeah, no problem.
See, white girls bore me.
You can eat shit and die, Colonel.
I do want you to come.
I want you to come. That's right.
none of the movies we watched, for the most part, was in English, so I have no sound clips. I could have just done sound clips of a hammer sound or something, but yeah, anyway. In any event,
Oh my god.
as I try to do, I had a movie that I only knew superficially, but after The Blade now, I don't even know if I know that anymore. But I knew what one of the movies we were going to watch was supposed to be, but I'd never seen it. So I thought, well, on the off chance it's not everything that it's supposed to be, I'm going to put in a known quantity up front. So first, before we watched the unknown movie, we watched a movie I talked about in 2023, so not even that long ago. But it was a Cynthia Rothrock film. The only one outside of the China O'Brien series that I think it's the only Hong Kong one, a non-American one, I guess I should say, that she was ever a lead in. And it's a movie from 1989 titled Lady Reporter. And, I mean, I know I like this movie, so it's easy for me. But, you know, I was like, okay, if nothing else, I know there's going to be good fights, which there is one spectacular fight late in this movie, but there's many good fights.
Okay, here's the thing. It's weird reviewing this movie because it's just good. It's just good for the same reason that all the Cynthia Rothrock like action movies that she did in this time period are a great watch. And it shares the DNA, pros and cons, with the other ones that it's done. So reviewing this is kind of like reviewing Righting Wrongs. Mm-hmm. Rothrock works as a lead. And what I like with... Actually, I think I almost kind of enjoyed this one more than Righting Wrongs because I like the way that they space the fights out and that she's in more of the fights.
I agree.
You know? And plus, it's the way they set her up in this, too, because there's a great fight in this one where, like, there's a secondary guy who can fight, and he gets his ass kicked by this one guy, and then Rothrock shows up and just starts fucking that guy up. And you're like, she is the better fighter. But the thing with all these movies is there is this strange Chinese sensibility where they go from being fuck off goofy to being like absolutely life or death within moments. Mm-hmm. And you have to embrace that. If you can embrace that kookiness, then these movies are great. And I can. Like, I identify it's there. It's how they function. They're a lot of fun. If you've got a problem with that, then you're going to have a problem with these movies.
Yeah, that is the easiest way to say it, is that if you've seen any of these types of movies and you like them, you're going to like this one. Simple as that. I agree that, for me, just in general, Yes, Madam is always the best one. That is always above them all. Everything else, they're all equally good to me. I really don't care about the stories necessarily. The tones are all similar, like Righting Wrongs.
Yes, Madam is the double with what's her name?
That's with Michelle Yeoh. Yes.
Michelle, yeah.
Yes, that one is untouchable. That is always going to be the best one because of the two of them. They just never were smart enough to get a pairing with her like that again. So even though in this movie she is more of a protagonist, it is her movie, she doesn't have that secondary person to kind of bounce off of, because her and Michelle Yeoh had a good chemistry. And I like them both. And I will always take two women beating the shit out of everybody over one. So I will always take any woman beating the shit out of everybody because I'm into that. So that's fine. But put two of them together and it's even better.
Well, and that is one of the weird things of this, which is that you told me about halfway through that this movie had two directors. And the first director... wasn't really working what he was doing. Apparently, he was more interested in filming women in bathtubs. And then, then the other director who came in was the guy who kind of was like, "Okay, let's do all these fights." And it makes sense because there are great fights all the way through, but there are also a lot of odd sequences of people in bathtubs. And actually, you know what? Yes. This kind of ties into a bigger thing here for me, because I just watched Lethal Weapon with my son recently, and. So in this movie, early on, there's Cynthia Rothrock is in the bathtub, and her friend is like sitting at the top of the bathtub throwing like rose petals in as they're talking about like what they're going to do. And I'm kind of sitting there going, what's going on here, guys? Because Cynthia Rothrock, to my knowledge, is supposed to be naked. And I'm like, what's the vibe here?
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not really sure what's going on, because... Yeah. You know, was the first director hoping to just kind of throw a lesbian thing in there, or are you guys just super comfortable with each other? So it's like, you know, bathing is cool. And then when I was watching Lethal Weapon, at the beginning of Lethal Weapon, what's his name? Murtaugh is in the bath, and his family comes in with a cake and sings "Happy Birthday" to him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like hugging him and like kissing him, and I'm sitting there going, "Is this motherfucker sitting in the bath naked?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on here? Is he like?" And honestly, it didn't occur to me when I was a kid watching this, and now watching it, I'm like, "What's happening here?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Is Murtaugh just naked?"
There's
like-
actually a lot more of this than you think there is in movies, and I don't know what to make of it either.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird element, you know?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, if you remember when we watched Hack-O-Lantern and the girl was in the bathtub and her friend comes in and then puts the towel on her and she's completely naked? I'm like, wait a second. These people are being awfully casual.
yeah,
Don't
I
get
mean,
me wrong,
like,
it's not family, but this, in Lady Reporter, it's a friend too. So it's
Yeah,
like,
see,
what?
and
Do
the
they
thing
just
is,
think this is how people are?
I can accept it more in Lady Reporter because it could just be that there is they're familiar, there's a comfort between them, that nudity isn't a thing, they don't care, right? But in
Maybe.
Lethal Weapon, it's his whole family coming
I
in
don't know.
there.
I agree, but that also happens more than you think
You know,
in movies of this time
and
period.
like
It's
his
weird.
daughter is asking him about stuff and hugging him, and you know, and at one point he almost grabs his son and throws him in there, and it's like, is this big black guy naked in the bath? Like, is this a cultural thing that somehow I missed? Because like I would never do that. I locked the door.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes, that is a funny vibe in this. But you know what? I also didn't find. There's usually one or two characters I find obnoxious in these kinds of action movies. And I actually didn't find anybody to be overly obnoxious. There was no humongously obnoxious comic relief. The only thing that even approaches it is the guy who runs the newspaper. And actually, I thought he was pretty funny. So, yeah. I mean, I think this movie pulls off a lot of stuff that in other movies doesn't necessarily work for me. So,
Yeah. I mean, I am biased to like this movie. So I like this movie.
I am not
That's
biased.
why I said-
Listen, I'm not biased to like this movie, and I like this movie. So there you go.
Yeah. I mean, there are movies of Cynthia Rothrock's I've reviewed that we will not watch there because I know you will not be able to take them. They're going to
Why?
be, they will not hold up.
Why?
But there are ones like this where I'm like, no, this will.
Well, I'm just curious. Why? Why won't the?
I think you will become bored by some of them because the tone doesn't balance correctly. Like Magic Crystal. I mean, we might watch it, but I don't expect you to like that anywhere.
Because it's kind of just a B movie.
Well, there's a kid in it, and there's a lot of kind of kid humor. And even I watch it and go, all right, humor doesn't.
You're like, you're lucky
it's
that
a
I
little too
adore
silly.
you, Cynthia. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like if I didn't want to, have visions of your thighs on me like Xena's on a top, then this wouldn't work. But it's fine, whatever, So there's that.
Yes, you are distracted. Yes.
I am. When the right pieces are in place, my needs are easily satisfied. I'll put it like that.
Okay.
You know?
Well, I think this is a very enjoyable kind of Hong Kong action movie of the era.
Yeah.
You know?
And Cynthia Rothrock's in it. So it's like when people ask me, do you care if we go to this restaurant? And I look at the menu and all I got to see is there pizza or is there a hamburger? If that's, I don't care what the rest of the menu says. I'll eat something.
So is Rothrock a pizza or a hamburger?
Well, I love both, so it really doesn't matter. But I'll say a hamburger because when you have a very well-made hamburger, there are levels of better.
Cynthia Rothrock is a really good hamburger on a Chinese food menu. Is really what this movie is.
Sure. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Which works for me because there's times where I used to go to Chinese food restaurants with my kids, and they didn't want anything, and then you'd find the kids menu and there'd be a burger, and you'd be like,
That's
yes!
what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. Is as long as one of those 2 items is on a menu on a place,
You're good.
I won't care what else they're doing. So if it's a Thai place, which I will not eat, and everybody else wants Thai, and there's a burger, fine. As long as I know it's a burger, not some kind of interpretation, East meets West burger.
Oh,
No,
I love interpretation burgers.
Yeah, I don't. I just
One of my
want it to be a
favorite-
bun,
one of my-
cheese, and a burger.
Favorite burgers was at a place in Vermont where it was like it was Greek pizza, and they used to do this really Greek burger. It was like, I loved that. That was so good. They closed within a couple years of me living there, but I love that because I mean it's like you know what I'm talking about when I say Greek pizza.
Oh yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. Yes.
Yeah. So and the fact that it was like a Greek, I swear to God, it was like a gyro burger. Not that it was like gyro. It was a burger, but like they spiced it like gyro. Oh God, it was so good. Getting myself hungry. So yes, Lady Reporter is great. I mean, I feel bad because we don't have more to say about it. It's just
there's nothing else to say.
It's
if
just
you like
good.
Cynthia Rothrock and you want to watch a Hong Kong film, it's great.
Yeah.
So, in fact, I read, and I forgot to tell you this, and it makes complete sense, that originally this was considered to be titled Righting Wrongs 2, Blonde Fury. And that makes complete sense because if you remember anybody from Righting Wrongs, half of them fucking show up in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
And in fact, the guy who was brought in for the reshoots was the guy who did Righting Wrongs. So they picked the right person to add better to it. So
yeah. So there you go.
We followed that up with 2025's The Furious, a.k.a. It's Hammer Time.
Okay, so I'm going to say right up front, this movie has...
I'm going to let you introduce this movie.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, because I don't know why you chose it. Like, you just decided that we're going to watch it.
Because one of the writers, a movie reviewer that I follow on Blue Sky, kept mentioning, she kept bringing this movie up.
No. So
and I went,
this
okay,
movie
I'll watch
has some of the best fight choreography I have, I think, ever seen. It is, I mean, it still maintains a level of kind of fight absurdity. I mean, everyone knows everyone does martial arts in this, and everyone can take a lot of damage. I mean, basically, everyone's superpowered. You know, there's that when you watch like kind of like period kung fu movies where like everyone seems to have like vaguely magical powers. It feels like everyone who can fight. This movie feels like that, except in the modern age. And because of that, the fights are absolutely off the wall. The choreography, the damage that people take is ridiculous. And yet it's done so well. And it is so relentless. For a movie that is an hour and 53 minutes long, I mean, it just blew by. And let me tell you, the last 30 minutes of the movie, I think, is like one fight, right? It's like one continuous... And I wasn't bored. I was riveted. There's literally a fight between 5 people at the end of this movie. It's basically 2 good guys, 2 bad guys, and one guy who just wants to fucking kill everybody. And those 5 people basically have this 3-way fight, and it's phenomenal. I would love to see what the planning for this. So that's the upfront. This movie is essentially about a mute Chinese man who is living. I mean, they never say what country they're in, do they? They never say it's Thailand or where they are.
No, in fact, even in the synopsis I read, it just says South Asian or something like that.
Yeah, okay. So basically, this is a mute Chinese man with obvious fucking military training of some kind. Oh, fuck it. Listen, this is Taken. That's up front is what this is. This is Taken. It's Taken, and then it goes slightly in a different direction. So, our Chinese Liam Neeson is a mute, and he's living with his daughter in somewhere in the what did you say? Somewhere in
somewhere
Southeast
not
Asia.
America.
Somewhere in Southeast Asia, right?
Sure.
But oddly, everyone there speaks English.
Well, half the time.
Yeah, that's the weird thing of the movie, is that half the time it's Chinese and half the time it's English. So anyway, so he's living there, and he He's having hard times with his teenage daughter because, that's what happens. And the mother isn't in the picture, and he's trying to train her to fight, and they just aren't getting along. And then she gets kidnapped by human traffickers, which is where we get our first phenomenal fight sequence, which just sets you up for the rest of the movie and how goddamn focused this character is. And the movie from there on becomes this guy trying to find his daughter and get his daughter back. He figures out that they might be at this club. I can't remember the details of how he gets there, but basically he goes to this club where they might be. And before he goes, he packs a hammer, which, for me, I love the 5-way fight at the end. But the sequence in the fight bar, that's what we'll call it, the fight bar, when he pulls that hammer out, that has got to be some of the most fun I've had watching a movie in a while, because he just starts destroying these people. The way if this was a computer game, this character's focus would be on crowd control, because that's what he does. The way they've had this character in the movie fight, he has absolutely stunning crowd control. He's fighting like 12 guys at once. I think there's one sequence there where he literally takes 5 guys out in like one position. One thing where he kind of comes down across a bunch of them and just brings them all down. I mean, while we're at the fight bar, we discover there's a reporter who's also tracking the human trafficking. And we have a short fight sequence between our mute Liam Neeson and with the reporter, who I'm pretty sure the actor's name is Joe, isn't it?
Yes, I believe so.
He's one of these. He was the least Chinese-looking guy in the movie. Did you notice that? There was something about him where I was like, I think. And did you say actually that we've seen this guy in other movies, like American movies?
Yeah, we have. Yes.
Okay. Either way, he's very good. Like he great fight choreography. They had a lot of fun with it. He's a very different character from the lead, so you have 2 very different kind of co-leads who are both trying to stop the human traffickers and looking for someone that has been lost, right? They are fun to be with, and you continue on with them. And this is a pretty straightforward movie to a point, which is essentially they find the human traffickers. They find them at one place where the kids already been moved out. But they then fight all the people there, and there's a country western villain type guy with a shotgun that they take him out, and then they fight his son, who is this immense force of nature. He has this son who's a big, muscular, kind of heavy-set, bald guy, somewhat of a simpleton, knows how to fight his fucking ass off. And they have this great fight between him and the 2 of them, where they just seem to barely beat him. At which point they electrocute the country western guy till he gives them the information of where the kids are. And then, honestly, I found the fight sequence at the building where the children were to actually be, they're all good, but this is, I think, the weakest of the bunch, because it's more so them trying to hold off a crowd of like gang guys who don't really know how to fight while the kids get away, rather than them actually being like a over the top elaborate sequence. So it's a good sequence, and in any other movie it may have been the climax of the movie, but in this movie there's so many goddamn good fights that you're like, hey, this one's a little weak, but like, still weak within the realm of being fucking great. So they find that the children, they get the children out. The police turn on their corrupt chief and choose to help. And our 2 characters do not die. This may have been the end of a movie if it was some other movie, right? And they didn't kill the little girl. I mean, I was just waiting for the little girl to get killed, right? Which they didn't do. That was, kind of nice. So now we then discover that the actual bad guy, who's kind of above all this, is doing all this because he's married to a crime boss's daughter, and the crime bosses are upset with him now because this whole thing is falling apart. It's gotten out of control. At which point, I mean, does he just have a schizoid break and kill them all?
Or I think that's what you're supposed to think, yes.
Yeah, so he seems to be the very unstable because half the time he's like very sort of buttoned up and he's like, oh, this is the thing that we will do to make everything work. And then all of a sudden he's like, I'll fucking kill you all. And he proceeds to kill the police chief who's there. He kills the 3 crime fathers, whatever. And then as the help come in to try and stop him, he proceeds to start slaughtering his way through there. And inevitably, his pregnant wife, who is also living in this big mansion, comes in the room because she hears a ruckus, and he accidentally stabs her. Like, did you stab her once? Or did he stab her like 3 times? Because he doesn't even look.
No,
he's
just once. Just once.
Okay, he stabs her in the stomach, in his kind of schizoid mode, and kills her and his child. It's a weird sequence, but, they needed to light the fuse for the grand finale of the movie. And this sets it up, because now this psychotic, amoral crime boss has accidentally killed his own wife and child, blames mute Liam Neeson, and says, I am gonna fuck them up. So he gets his super Thai Bowman, whatever, and the 2 of them go to the police station where mute Chinese Liam Neeson and the reporter are being held overnight because they did just fucking fuck up a whole lot of people. The daughter is there along with one of the children who was working for the traffickers, but then basically they turned on the kid, so the kid helped. And a whole lot of police officers. And this is the finale of your movie, where the Thai Bowman goes in, and with a bow and arrow proceeds to horribly murder all these unprepared police officers. At which point, mute Chinese Liam Neeson gets out of the prison cell that he's in along with the reporter. The schizoid crime boss arrives, and now you've got a 4-way fight. And then about halfway through that fight, the big bald guy who you thought they'd killed shows up, and now you've got the real fight. Now, this movie stands on its impeccable fight choreography. The story is nothing to write home about. You are in this movie because the fights are just so well done. And they are. They are so well done. The fights are so well done in this movie that they make fights in other movies look pretty shitty. I watched Lethal Weapon after I saw this, and let me tell you, when Riggs fights Gary Busey, Mel Gibson and Gary Busey fighting each other in the front of Murtaugh's house feels like a fucking, like, a bunch of kindergartners fighting in comparison to the fight choreography for this movie.
This is like when you see the Darth Maul fight, and then you watch the Return of the Jedi lightsaber fight. You're like, oh.
And then you look and you go, this is what the Jedi and the Sith should have been doing this whole time?
Uh-huh.
Holy shit. And then you realize that Luke is fighting, a 6-foot, a triple amputee with asthma, right? Yep. And that's... But I love this movie. I mean, it's sad because they do take his child, and there's always that party. But then he gets her back, and she doesn't die, and he fucks these people up, and it's just good. I mean, this movie makes John Wick look weak. You know what that is? Like, I love the John Wick movies, but this movie, the choreography is so good. Like, Keanu Reeves wants to make this movie. So yeah. I mean, I do worry that this movie has kind of ruined a lot of other action movies for me now because it's so good. Now, like I said, the story is kind of whatever. It's very straightforward, nothing to write home about. So in that respect, it's not a perfect movie. But if you're looking for a good fight movie, holy shit, I want to see everything else this director has made now. Because if this is how he handles things, I'm on board. Listen, if you can do one thing really, really, really fucking well, and then you lean on that, as long as people know what they're getting coming in, you know, absolutely, I'm here. You know, and I think you saw another movie, Susan. You saw his movie, the movie in the Old City or something like that.
Yes, I reviewed Twilight of the Warriors Walled In. Yeah. Which I didn't realize at first was the same person. But
now I want to see that shit too, you know?
Oh, we'll watch it. Yeah, because it was very good. And, okay, well, so for you, I don't know whether it will live up to this because of the fighting in this.
Is this
because
the pinnacle?
It is, as you said.
Is this kind of his pinnacle?
It could be. I mean, the other one has very good fights, but it's also more mystical. There's actual magic in the other one as opposed to fight magic in this one.
Oh, wait, in the Walled City one, there's magic?
Yes, there's magic. There's a point where there's magic, yeah.
Hey, listen, I don't have a problem with magic, so I'm sure that'll be fun too.
Okay.
You know what? This guy, if this guy did a fucking Street Fighter movie, it would be amazing.
I don't disagree with that.
So, I mean...
I'd be with you on that.
Yeah, I did. I mean, this...
Yeah.
I was laughing and just... I mean, I think you said at one point you wish you'd recorded because of the grunting sounds we were making. Because there's some stunt sequences where people get hit and you're like, oh, God, he took it in the face. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, when that hammer comes out, it's not even like he didn't pull out Thor's hammer. He pulled out like a little ball peen hammer, and the shit that he gets up to with that hammer. I mean,
well, he's a handyman, so he's got a handyman's hammer.
Yeah, and he just fucking handymans those people to death.
Yeah.
I mean,
yep.
I mean, just thinking about the action sequences makes me laugh. I mean, the amount of throwing, they just throw people left and right. I mean, God.
Oh yeah.
Oh, jeez. So I think this movie is fantastic. I wouldn't say anyone should see it. You got to be prepared for some action brutality. But you know what? All the bad guys get it in the end, which I'm good with. Set them up and knock them down. So, yeah. Oh, thoughts, feelings?
No, I agree with all that. I think it is probably one of the most impeccably choreographed fight movies I've ever seen. Interestingly, I think some of the fights are too overdone. Because there were points where I wasn't clear exactly what was happening because it just was so much going on.
You know what? You are entitled to
I'm
your
not saying
opinion.
that even as a negative thing.
You're entitled to your opinion. I wholeheartedly disagree. This movie was the exact level of, oh my fucking God, fight I wanted. You know,
it's interesting. I would watch clips of this movie again, but I would probably never watch it again. Because I realize the story and the dubbing is so bad.
I mean, listen, the dialogue isn't great. The story is kind of barely there.
But I would show the clips to people all day long.
But I will go back and I will watch other than the fight in the last fight in the building where they're getting the kids out. Because like I said, that is the weakest of all the fights. All the other fight sequences, the fight in the beginning with the truck, the fight with the hammer in the fight bar, the final fight in the police station, all of those are fan-fucking-tastic. They set the bar very high.
Yeah. Well, and that's the interesting part now is this is why about the thing with the other movie, the Twilight of the Warriors movie.
Yeah.
I am looking forward to watching that again because I think it's a much more visually impressive movie. But you might find that the fights are lesser compared to this. But I think as an entire movie, Twilight of the Warriors is far better as a movie in its entirety. I think it is a much more interesting story, setting as a total movie. This movie, The Furious, fight choreography, I mean, it's at the top with anything.
I mean, listen,
no arguments.
But otherwise, it's basically just Taken on
Right.
on the first level. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas Twilight of the Warriors.
Yeah. And so the director that we're talking about here is Kenji Tanigaki.
Sure.
And the thing that we realized about him was that, I mean, if you look at he did a shit ton of stunt coordination, fight coordination, and stunt work. So, like, it makes sense that he's this type of director.
Oh yeah, I would bet some money. Not every penny I had, but I would bet some money.
He did a period
over the years, he's been jotting down ideas in a notebook of fights he wants to do, and this movie is that.
No. On IMDb, I just went to look at the list of his thing, and there is a collection of fight sequences from all his different movies. Like they just throw it's like a big, and I mean, all of these fights look fucking awesome. Like, I want to see all these fucking movies now. What movie is this? Hold on. Let's see. Oh, God, it doesn't say. It just says the name of the actor. God damn it. I got to watch. He did the Rurouni. Was it Rurouni Kenshin? I know the character of Kenshin. Oh, we're going to have to watch this. Yeah, I mean, this is like an anime period type film with samurais and swords, and he's fighting like 1,000 people. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, I said, academically, this thing is top notch in terms of the actual way the fights are constructed and executed. I can't pick apart anything. Yeah. For me personally, I would have liked a little more space, the camera a little bit further back to really see it, but maybe there was technical reasons you couldn't do that. Because I do think that they get overwhelming at times in terms of it.
But it's not shaky cam.
No, it's not bad. I want to be very clear. I'm not saying anything's bad. I'm saying for me, I like the fights to be.
Oh man,
I like the classic Hong Kong approach of things.
He was the fight coordinator for the Snake Eyes movie that they did.
Yeah,
God,
I'm not surprised by that. I remember reading that the fights were very good in that movie.
I'm kind of curious to see some of those fight sequences now.
Oh, they're on YouTube.
Yeah, well, I know. That's what I'm saying. Let's check this out. Anyway, it's a rare thing these days to watch a movie and to say, "Shit, I want to see all this guy's movies." So.
Yeah, I actually am very interested in what your reaction to Twilight of the Warriors is.
Yeah, it's just a phenomenally fun action movie.
Yeah. Oh no, it is. I mean,
yeah.
I would recommend it to anyone who likes action movies.
Who likes
just
action?
understand that there is a lot of gore, a lot of blood. I wouldn't say gore. There's a lot of blood in it. Gore to me is like intestines flying everywhere. There's not that. That's like horror movie stuff. When I say gore, I mean horror movies. But there is a lot of very visceral violence. Even though
continuously,
even though there is a guy who takes a sledgehammer to the head that snaps off and he lives, so it's not necessarily grounded in reality.
Yeah, but this is that thing where I said that everyone seems to have a superhuman level of punishment.
So some of the blood is kind of offset by the fact that some of these characters take a level of abuse.
Oh, humongous levels of abuse.
Yeah, but. They have very specific fighting styles, especially the big guy with his animalistic approach. Like all that stuff is great because you see how they.
Oh yeah, everyone fights different. It's not just the same. Yeah.
Which is also, Lady Reporter had that too, where there were two guys in that who were clearly leg kickboxer types, where they were all leg.
Yeah.
And it's great because that's in a lot of the other Rothrock films, it's kind of general martial arts, like all over. Whereas these guys, all the power was south of the belt, which is great because you could see all the control. And this movie does that with everybody in different styles. So the Handyman is kind of the all-around brawler, almost like in video games where you select different characters for their attributes. So the Handyman is kind of your Mario, if you want to think of like Super Mario Brothers 2. And then like the big guy is kind of the animal style guy. And then the investigator who was looking for his wife, I don't know what I would describe him as, but he's different than the Handyman. And then the psycho or the psychotic break guy, he's got this like Slender Man type of thing he's doing where he's all thin and wiry, but he's moving around.
Wow, it's
amazing. That's great too.
It's amazing how spaced out this guy's movies are.
Well, it probably takes a while to plan and practice this shit.
You know what? He didn't direct Walled City. He was the stunt coordinator.
Oh yeah, yes. He didn't direct it. He did the stunts for it. That's what I meant.
Okay.
Yeah, he architected all the stunts. This is his. Is this his first directed one?
No. He's directed 8 movies.
Okay.
But he did Enter the Fat Dragon in 2020, and then beyond that,
oh sure, yeah,
he did Legend of the Seven Monks in 2006, and there's like kind of some spacing here. But yeah, I mean, he did a series of movies called Shinobi, where it was like Shinobi Hidden Technique, Shinobi Law of Shinobi, Shinobi A Way Out, Shinobi Runaway.
Sure.
And he did Amazon's Dragon Woman vs. Kuniochi. And then he did, Seven Monks, Fat Dragon, Furious. Yeah, 8 movies.
Oh, there you go.
Other than that, yes, he's done a lot of stunt work. And his stunt work is fantastic, so.
It is. No doubt about it.
Well, there you go. Wow. Now I'm even curious now to see that Snake Eyes movie now.
Well, we will watch the Twilight of the Warriors one because I would like to see that one again. I enjoyed that one quite a bit. So we'll watch that and figure out something to pair it with.
There's a lot of good content this time around. I don't have anything bad to say about anything, really.
No. I literally there was nothing bad in this at all. I mean, and we're talking video games, TV, movies. We've covered it all. The only thing we didn't do was a book review. So I got a book review for you this week. Sorry. But everything else, a little something for everybody. All different types of things. Assassin show, German nihilism, vintage Star Wars game, goofy Hong Kong action film, hardcore visceral violence action film. Yeah.
Yep. Butt plug that looks like a shark.
Butt plug looks like a shark. RoboCop. Giger alien stuff. Yeah, we got it all. Yeah. Yeah, the show's title is A Song of Ice and Orgasm. So I'm going to leave it. That's good. On that note, everybody, we'll see what we come back with next week. I don't know if it'll be uniform this many reviews again, but at least they were all good, and that's...
No, I think a lot of stuff just concluded and happened at the same time.
Yeah, it just lined up very well. So there's nothing wrong with that, man. So it's always nice to send people into a weekend with lots of good options. So whatever you do this weekend, and if you watch any of this stuff, let us know what you think, because I'm always curious. But yeah, lots of good stuff to do. Whatever you do with your weekend, have a good time doing it. And we will see you again, possibly, right back here next week. Visit OzoneNightmare.com to subscribe to new episodes or to browse through our back catalog. Email questions or comments to ozonenightmare@gmail.com. If you'd like to support the show, visit supportourshow.com and select whatever option works best for you. The opening theme for the show is provided by Heartbeat Hero. The closing theme is provided by Ogre. Please visit and support these artists using the links in the show notes for each episode.